Hello and welcome again to another summit of Global Speakers Talk. So it's a Global Live Speakers Summit and it is our 26th summit today. And I am so happy to welcome you. I am your host, Lisa Marie, and I will be here introducing some very motivating speakers today, talking on the topic of the importance of your public speaking skills. We have a plethora of experts with us today, ready to talk on this subject. And so without further ado, I'd like to tell you a little bit about our company, Global Speakers Talk. So if you will bear with me a moment, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to talk with you about the mission that we have here at Global Speakers Talk. The importance of public speaking skills is our presentation today. And thank you to everyone who's joined us live. If you're not live with us, please pop in #replay and tell us about your takeaways in the comments. We love to hear from you. But if you do have questions as we go along today, we would also be excited to hear those as well, because it is an interactive experience where we get to talk with the speakers and we get to interact in live time. So it's a benefit for being here live. So Global Speakers Talk, it's a startup international company which we founded in 2021 in the public speaking industry. And we organize online events to uncover, discover, and share your amazing inner voice around the globe. Global Speakers Talk is determined to raise, lift, and sorry about that, I don't know what happened. Apologies. My tech skills are not always the best. Let's try again. We are determined to raise, lift, and encourage and inspire all new coaches, speakers, and trainers who are camera shy to face their fears and do it anyway. We're here for you and your voice, providing you with the accountability and a welcoming, big, supportive community for positive feedback and strengthening your confidence in your voice. GST's core belief is that every voice and every new voice is a story to be told. It needs to be uncovered and come into the light to grow and impact the world. Our vision is to inspire, raise, and support 1 million inner voices, empowering them to discover and embrace their true potential. So I am just going to tell you a little bit about me. As I said before, I am your host today. I am a primary school teacher and an early years specialist. I have 23 years behind me in the classroom in primary schools, which is elementary schools in London, Dubai, North Carolina, USA, and in China. But then I founded Exquisite Learners online in 2020 to work at home. I've got a supportive Facebook community group, which I welcome you to join. It's called Teach Your Child to Learn at Home, 3 to 8 year olds. And I help to empower parents to confidently support their school homework and extra learning practice with their 3 to 8 year old child. I'm a passionate lifelong learner and a big advocate for hands-on interactive learning through play and investigation for under 12-year-olds wherever possible. I hope to motivate an early love of learning to last for our child's lifetime, building strong parent bonds and happy memories as families learn together in fast, fun, manageable ways. I'm also a children's book illustrator and an artist and designer. I sell on Etsy at Exquisite with Heart, and I have a free step-by-step Draw With Me, Lisa Marie series on Exquisite Learners YouTube. I illustrate a #1 best-selling series of reading books for 5 to 10-year-olds and early reluctant readers, and those transitioning from a picture to a chapter book. The stories and activity books to complement these are available from Amazon, and our 8th storybook is coming out next month. We're also hoping to release our bi-monthly subscription boxes in the summer, and I'm excited to be working alongside a second author on a new picture book for younger readers launching soon. I just completed a lovely illustration project about the Eurovision 2023 in Liverpool, which we're hosting this year for the Ukraine, with an incredible team of authors and creatives in a community interest company, which produces free books and learning packs for thousands of underprivileged children. This year, I was honored to have been invited to be one of the very first VIP thought leaders in the Finding Your Voice network, community group, and digital magazine. I want to encourage and inspire others to share their voice through their story or any knowledge they have, which could help others, and others need to hear it. I'm a proud member of the GST team. Despite my confident exterior, inside, I would worry for days before a public speaking in front of a camera event. And to face my fear, I jumped in to host the Be Fearless podcast, which was live weekly on GST. I credit the hosting, the podcast guest support, and all the support of the GST community family group for helping me to banish those crippling nerves. I still feel a normal amount of nerves, but thanks to GST, I'm living my life a bit more fearlessly with each live. So without further ado, I'd like to put forward our very first speaker today, who is, let's check that she is with us here at the moment. Is Fathimath with us just now? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and go to the next speaker, because we're just waiting for her to come in. So I would like to move forward to Iskra Petrova, who is here with us in the gallery sitting on Zoom, and she is a clarity and confidence coach, and she lives in Bulgaria. She is, as I said, a clarity and confidence coach and an abundance mentor. She's the founder of Clarity and Confidence Academy, and she works with clients all over the world. You can connect with her on her social media, which we will make sure that we provide all the speakers' connections in the chat on the Facebook Live when it comes up as a replay, and we will try to put them in before this live ends. Iskra blends together approximately 25 years experience in advertising, marketing, and entrepreneurship with strategic intellect, intuition, sensitivity, and passion, thus leading people to connect with their mind-body energy. And I am so excited to introduce to you to the stage on our Global Speakers Talk 26th Summit. I would like to introduce Iskra to the platform to share with us.
Thank you so much, Lisa Marie. And I was smiling while you were lining up the speakers, because one of the key things that I wanted to share with our audience, and first welcome everyone. I'm so glad to have members of my community here with us on Zoom. It's about authenticity. It's so important to master the public speaking skills, but also more important is to keep the presence of spirit and to be self-connected and to be authentic, because what happens just now, realigning the speakers and making changes the last minute on the presentation, is something that would take people who don't have any experience out of their track. But you're an amazing host, and I'm really grateful to be here with you and also with everyone else who is here with us. So I have 3 favorite words, and I want to start from them: clarity, confidence, and impact. And I know that here we have seasoned speakers and masters, Toastmasters, people who have conquered and won the words of the hearts of great and big audiences from different stages. I'm not going to get into the craft of exactly the public speaking skills and how to handle ourselves on stage and what is the way to connect with the audience, but I want to speak about what is important before we get to share our message. I believe that first we need to have the awareness that we have a message to share. We need to have the connection with the sense of purpose. We need to develop the self-awareness about who we are, what is our purpose, what makes us feel alive, what brings joy and inspiration into our lives, and to connect ourselves as well as to connect with our audiences in order to create change, to create a positive change. So I believe that we start from this place, the space of self-awareness, understanding deeper our calling, deeper our values, deeper our place in society, in the bigger picture of world, and then gradually start developing our confidence, putting ourselves out there, making the connections, taking small, important steps into developing this confidence. And it happens kind of naturally and very easily that we start impacting people on a bigger scale and on a smaller scale. We might be amazing impact makers in our small community, in our own family. And from there, we can take a bigger leap and we can start stepping out on the bigger stages, virtual or in connecting with real life audiences. I remember when I decided to make a transition from film producing. I'm an executive film producer. I have a film producing business. Before that, I was into strategic advertising, and I'm a computer scientist. So when I started connecting with this unfulfilled need to make something meaningful, to impact other people's lives, it was so challenging for me to think about this transition into new identity, into embracing the possibility to put my message out there, to put myself on video, on camera, or to speak from real stages. And I wish I had someone to guide me back there to explore first my internal world before I decided to start showing up and sharing my story. So this is how I came out to be a coach for people who want to share gifts with their gifts with the world, but have this fear of visibility and don't feel really confident in the depth or in the value of their message. Because I believe that every person has gifts to share, and it's a matter of having or finding the proper direction, finding the proper supportive environment, and finding the proper guidance so that they find the easy way to start taking action. Because the hesitation, the self-doubt, the things that are keeping us away from our direction of intention, these are the things that slow us down, and it's always helpful to have someone by our side. So I encourage everyone to not only look for distant inspiration, watching inspirational videos of amazing motivational speakers or leaders of the thought and mind, but also to find supportive environment by themselves in their physical environment, and to start practicing telling stories that have been that carry some transformational message for themselves, but also would enrich other people's lives. So let me see, because I think here we see different things on camera. Let me just check where is Lisa Marie.
Don't worry, we're good.
Yes, because I was seeing different people on.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yes.
Don't worry.
Yeah. So coming back to the importance, to the key factors that I believe are really fundamental for everyone who feels that there is a message to be shared with the world for positive change. I really trust that these are just three simple words: clarity, confidence, and the intention to create impact. And if you have any questions, I would love to connect with you. I would love to answer them. You can share them with me on social media. You can share them here in the spaces of Global Speakers Talk. So feel free to connect with me. I'm really curious to explore all the possibilities for growth and for bringing out our true potential as leaders of the heart and of the mind.
Thank you so much. I love that you shared that, the simplicity of, not only is this what you do to help people, to gain this sort of confidence in front of the camera and to be able to speak and know what they're about as well. I love, digging deep and understanding, having that understanding of yourself within society first and, you know exactly what you want to put out to the world and having that bigger picture. But I just love the use of those 3 simple words, because that is exactly it, isn't it? It sums it up: clarity, confidence, and impact. And, you know, it's about using less words to say more, you know, that having the confidence to do that. And, you know, practice is going to give you that. And then the impact is, of course, all that knowledge you have to share, all the story that is so important to get out there. So I hope that after hearing you, some more people have been inspired to get their cameras out and speak and get their voices heard. So thank you so much, Iskra, for sharing that with us today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I see we have some of my clients here in the Zoom room, and there is a question there from Michael, who asked, is there a story you have about a breakthrough experience you had in your transition from film producing to coaching? Yeah, absolutely. I still remember a series of sleepless nights after one of our biggest projects. I'm not going to talk about money, but huge budgets, hundreds of cast and crew, and we finished with this production. We had a huge celebrity film score composer with whom we shot, and I felt totally empty. I felt totally cold. I was walking after the film set, after the film shoot, with I don't know how many cameras in one of the biggest venues in Bulgaria, and I felt no connection, no inspiration, no fulfillment, no desire to celebrate. And then I decided that this was it. I'm not it wouldn't support me, and it wouldn't also support my crew and my colleagues and my team for me to continue living in this state without connection to a purpose, without feeling really fulfilled. Because I really loved, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the excitement, I love the creative challenges, I love working with so many inspirational crew members, creative talent, film directors, production designers, amazing actors. But there are so many elements that are beyond our control. There are situations when I felt some of my some of my core values were not honored. Some of my personal needs were not met. I wasn't available for my growing kid. I would get out and go to the set before he was awake, and then I would come back after midnight, and I wouldn't see him for days or weeks. And this huge project, very successful project, was kind of the tipping point for me to realize that I had to change something big. So yeah, thank you so much, Michael, for asking this question. And I really felt it in my body, like kind of all these memories came back. And I like to remember that, because it is one of the experiences that are supporting my the realization of my big why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I really feel inspired to see people blossom in front of me and connecting with their self-worth and unleashing abundance in all possible forms, not just abundance of prosperity, material prosperity, but abundance of connections, abundance of joy, abundance of loving relationships, abundance of self-love. So this is what lights me up every day, and I honestly feel inspired after every group or individual coaching session with my clients. So deep gratitude for all my clients and for all the inspiration that I have been receiving from witnessing their growth and transformation into impact makers.
Amazing. And that was a really great question. Thank you, Michael, for sharing that. That was great. And for sharing that extra insight for us, Iskra. I tried to get onto Facebook to see if there's any comments. If anyone can see, I'm not quite able to get in there, but if anyone's got any questions, we will pick them up as we go along. If someone can help me to let me know if you see any questions, that'd be amazing. But for now, I think we're going to move to our next speaker. Thank you, Iskra. It's been wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Hope you'll stay with us and see if there's any questions later on. I'm going to share the screen again, and I want to tell you about our next speaker. I'm going to see if, let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and go on and speak. We're going to have Mercy Arinze. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce it. Ezeugo. I'm so sorry, Mercy. I ran out of time to ask you about how to pronounce your surname. You are a wonderful wife and mother, and you're a certified mindset coach, an educationalist, a public speaker, TEDx trained, an author, multi-talented serial entrepreneur, and the founder of Women in Purpose Network, WIPN for short. She inspires women to be more and to embrace their authentic self and blossom in their purpose. She runs an online show called The Complete Woman Show, and I'm very excited to hear what she has to share with us this afternoon. It's this afternoon here in the UK, wherever it is with you. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and thank you for joining us. So let's welcome to the stage. Are you with us? There you are. Wonderful. If you can unmute, I can see you. Brilliant. I think you're still muted, lovely. Let me see if I can unmute you. Let me go ahead and unmute you. Oh, I'm struggling to unmute you. Just bear with me just a second. Okay. Mercy, have you got a different name? Oh, okay, I've seen you. There you are. It's because, okay, I see where you are. Apologies, everyone. Let's go ahead and ask. I'm asking you to unmute. I believe you are unmuted now. I think I've unmuted you. Welcome to the stage.
Okay, can you see me now? Can you hear me?
We can. It's lovely to see you.
Okay, let me see if I can add extra light to here. Okay, can you see me more clearly now? All right, thank you very much, Lisa. Thank you. I am really glad. I am delighted to be here today. Thank you. And I want to say good afternoon from Nigeria. I want to say thank you to Lisa, especially for what she's doing and for her team for, bringing this forum, this conversation together. I seriously appreciate you all. You guys are doing amazing work and work and affecting the world generally for good. So I just want to quickly, share some little tips with us. The first speaker has already done justice to this topic. She said something about clarity, your confidence, and being able to create impact. So, but I'm going to talk from a different, perspective. And, this topic so much resonates with me because I could remember the very first time I went on live, and it was in a challenge. I was supposed to go live to talk about what I do. And the atmosphere was so tense. I was like, how would I go about this? And finally, I have to hit the live button. And when I did, that was a game changer for me. Everything changed at that moment. So I want to talk about, some of the things we need to know when we are speaking to the public. And then I want us to understand that speaking to, public speaking is not just for motivational speakers. Public speaking is not meant for a particular set of people. Sometimes you find out that people are not able to speak. They are not speaking because they don't have the confidence. They lack the confidence to speak. They are not speaking not because they don't want to talk to you. They are not speaking because they don't want to express their ideas, their thoughts, but because they don't know how to go about it. So I want to put it that Your ideas, your thoughts are so unique and they are valid. And all you need to do is to build up your confidence to go out there and share it to the world. No matter how good you are, no matter what you have in the inside of you, you want to share with your world. It will be so unfortunate that nobody is going to hear you. Nobody is going to know what you have. If it is what is going to change the whole world, you must have to bring it to the table. You must have to speak. You must have to be able to convey your message out there before people will be able to hear you. So the first thing you have to have at the back of your mind is that your ideas, your thoughts, they are all worth sharing. That is number one. And you can only do that.
I think we might have lost connection with Nigeria. Is everybody else having trouble?
When you speak, you cannot turn to the next person. You must speak in your place of work. Remember when I went through my public speaking skills training, I was so happy that during that period, we had a seminar, we had a presentation at my workplace, and then I was supposed to be the one leading the team to do the PowerPoint presentation. And that was my very first time to do so. And I was so excited because I applied everything I learned during the training, and I came out, I was like, wow, I need to share this with my coach. And people were so amazed at the transformation. So speaking skills is for everyone, and we must have to take it very seriously. So having established this fact, I want to share a few tips that will help us in our public speaking skills. Hello, can everyone hear me?
Can I just stop you for just a brief moment? We did lose you for a little while, so we might have missed a little of what you said before you talked about your first experience of public speaking. So if you want to fill us in with that short little bit, we lost you for maybe 2 minutes.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay, I was trying to say that your ideas, your thoughts, they are valid, they are worth sharing. And until you are able to share it with your world, your voice will not be heard. Your message will not be heard. And those messages you have in the inside of you, they are authentic, and that your world may just need that your one message to experience a change. And we must have to do what? To put ourselves, to put ourselves out there to be able to share what we have for our world. And I also say that, in public speaking, everybody is a speaker. It's not just meant for a particular set of people. It's not meant for the motivational speakers, for the pastors, for the politicians. No. At one point or the other in your life, you have to speak, because you're speaking. If you're not speaking in your workplace, if you're not speaking as a professional, you're speaking to your clients. So at one point or the other, you must speak. So, and I said, having established that, we have to just look at these few tips about public speaking. And number one thing I wrote down here, I said, you don't just talk, you communicate. As a public speaker, you are not just there to talk. And I want to also applaud you, Lisa, for, I heard you saying you've been in the teaching field for 23 years. I'm just 10 years in the teaching field, and I can imagine the impact so far. As teachers in the classroom, let me relate it to teaching in the classroom. I also work with the kindergarten. I work with foundation years. So if you are not able to communicate with the children, let me say you entered into a classroom where you have 3 years, 5 years children, and then you are raising some vocabularies that are so high for their age. You find out that at the end of the day, you end up talking to yourself and you've not communicated. So the first thing we must
It always seems to be at the really best parts.
take note is that this is, sorry, I'm some interference here. Sorry about that.
That's okay. If you could just repeat that, because we did lose you for a short while.
Yes, I said, number one, you don't just talk, you communicate. And you are communicating so that you'll be able to have feedback from the people you're talking to, from your audience. And this takes me to the next point, which says, who is your audience? Who are you talking to? Because when we talk about public speaking skill, it's not all about coming to speak and let people know you have sound intonation, you have sound English language and all that. No, we're talking about, were you able to pass your message in a way that your audience could understand you and you created impact in them? So number one is you must be able to do what? To communicate. Two, you should be able to understand whom your audience is. Okay, you should be able to, first of all, identify who your audience is and then understand them and speak at their level. Like me, I have an organization where I talk to women. Of course, I'm not going to bring politics or things that has nothing to do with women, and I'm sharing the content every day with them. Of course, nobody's going to listen to me, and at that point, I'm not communicating. So you must know, am I talking to children? Am I talking to teenagers? Is my message appropriate for them? Is my message for the women? Is it for businessmen? Is it for politicians? Who is your target audience? Who are you speaking to? You must take cognizance of all this. Then number three, prepare yourself mentally. You know, sometimes we have this stage fright because, you know, it's natural. It's natural to be agitated. You want to talk to people, but you need to fight it by being, you know, prepared in your mind. You have to fight it being prepared mentally. You have to put yourself on that stage. Let me say you're doing, you know, a physical, you know, a conversation with people. You are doing a physical training or you are speaking physically. You have to tell yourself, I am in charge. You have to speak to your mind. You have to get your mind set in order for you to be able to hold the stage, control the people, and let them have, you know, give you their attention. That is one. Then the fourth point, you have to discover your strength. This is very, very important, especially when you are speaking on an open place, you are speaking not virtually, you are speaking offline. You have to master yourself. You have to know your strength. For instance, if your strength is in your dressing, if your strength is in your charisma, if your strength is in your voice, you have that commanding voice that whenever you open your mouth to speak, everyone gives you attention, everyone listens to you. So what do you do to overcome that fear that is in the inside of you? You have to focus. You have to build your strength from the best part of you, from that area of you that, you know, I do better here. So with that confidence in your mind, you will not remember your imperfections. You will not remember your shortcomings. So that is just that. Then the next thing you can do is to be very audible. You don't speak sluggishly, and then you don't scream. You don't have to shout for people to hear you. You just have to speak, and you have to be very audible. So if you are speaking and then you're sluggish, you are going to disconnect from your audience. If you're speaking and it's not lively, people are just listening, but they are not grabbing you. Your voice is not clear. It's not going to benefit your audience. Then the next point is you have to practice what you have to say. You have to practice over and over again. Don't just feel, I know what I want to say. Let me just go there and speak. Let me just go there and tell them I've been in this game. I've been a master of this for over years. Then you just go there and you find out that you just get stuck. Like, what's going on? So you have to do your rehearsals. You have to probably speak on the camera, like record yourself and analyze your strengths. You understand? You have to be able to judge yourself. What am I able to do? Then if you're speaking to people, another good skill you have to get is to look into the face of the people you're talking to. You have to look into their face. If you are using a virtual space, you have to look into your camera. Don't put your head down or put your head this other way, but you're speaking to people. You have to look into the camera, because as you're looking into the camera, you are looking on the faces of the people because they are looking straight at their phones, at their computers, so you are looking at them. But if it's an offline event, make sure you look into the eyes of the people as you walk around talking to them. Another thing is we must be very careful not to share other people's story only, because a lot of speakers make that mistake of sharing other people's story. What you're speaking must resonate with you. You mustn't just tell people this, that person, you're quoting every other person, but there is nothing practical coming from you, about what you're talking to them. So if you are speaking to people, you must have a little of your personal story that resonates with, what you're saying, so that it will drive more into them than just giving them stories that is abstract. Then another thing is you have to be physically fit, because when you are doing some mental work, it takes a lot of energy. So don't just get so weak and so tired. You've not eaten food and then you just jump up there. You will feel so tired, so weak. So if you are going for a public speaking event, you have to make sure you've rested well. You must make sure you've done the mental work, that you've eaten, you have strength from the inside, so that you will not go and then the people you are speaking to will be pitying you, be looking at you as if you are about to give up at the next minute. So you have to be very strong and alert. Then you have to show that you're vulnerable. Show your vulnerability. I think I've said something close to that. You don't just have to, show them that you are the superhuman, show the people that you are a mini god, and then you're just talking and everybody is not looking at you. Where is this person coming from? From which atmosphere? From which world is it coming from? So if you're a public speaker, you have to be vulnerable. You have to be, put yourself in the shoe of the people you're talking to. Don't just show them that you've got it all there. You are so powerful. You are everything. So you have to avoid that ego, and don't let the people you're talking to smell an attitude of pride in the inside of you, because when they see, they will disconnect. And remember what I said from the beginning, the whole essence of you talking to the people is for you to pass a message, is for you to communicate. And at the point you're speaking and you are not communicating, the people is going to disconnect completely with you, from you. And at that point, you've all made noise and you've not passed a message. So if you have an idea, you have a message to pass to your world there, please make sure that that message is passed in the right way. And I said also, you should be able to have a sense of humor. Yes, a lot of us are so serious when we are speaking. Like, you can't just joke with the people you are talking to. You can't just put a joke. You can't. Do you realize that when we come to the internet and you see some hilarious, content, like you tend to watch it over and over and over and over again? Am I making sense? Can anyone resonate with that? Yes, because of what? It's funny. Like, everybody wants to watch. I watch clips, like I watch it over and over again because of what? Because of the sense of humor in it. And at the point you are watching, maybe at the third time, then that's when you even listen to know what message is this person trying to pass. But if you're very serious from the onset of your introduction, hello everyone, today we are talking about, and then everyone's like, are you trying to command us or something? Like, you just need to put that atmosphere of joy, of relaxation, so that the people can give them that welcoming attitude, so that they can be able to resonate with you and say, I love that smile. I love that attitude. I think I need to hear what this man has to speak, what he has to say. So we are not supposed to look so serious when we are doing our presentation. You have to put humor, you have to put some fun into your content as a public speaker. So, and I also said, things we need to avoid as well is when you don't have a structure, you don't have an introduction, you don't have a body, and you don't have conclusion, everything is just muddled up. You start your conclusion from your introduction, and then you end your talk with your introduction. That is not good enough. So you need to organize your speech and make sure there is structure. I'm sorry, Lisa, I'm trying to rush so that I'll be able to, say more of the things I have. I'm almost rounding up, just a few more points. Then another thing is you have to be specific about your message. This is where a lot of content creators, public speakers get it very wrong. You have to be specific. If you are dealing with women, deal with women. It's not like only you are working with women. Today, your content is about women. Tomorrow, your content is about children. The next day, your content is about men. The next day, your content is about marketing. Like, you do everything in the same platform. People are going to get tired. Like, I don't even know which one she's doing. Like, every day she comes out with something entirely different. So you have to be specific with your message. If you're talking about a particular thing, let that be your personal brand. Let people know you for that this is whom this person is, so that whenever they want to speak about that particular, area of speaking, they will call you and say, this person is going to give us what we want from this. That is just it. Then another thing is what I want to do now. You have to take a breath. When you're talking, yes, you have to grab some breath. If not, you're going to get tired quickly, and you begin to have that voice that is so cracky, and you can sip some water when you're speaking. Yes, you can actually do so. Excuse me. You can actually drink some water. Yes, you have to. So you don't have to be so uptight there, so that you'll be able to maintain your strength and avoid your voice breaking so quickly and so easily. Then I've spoken about the way you appear, the way people see you. So your dressing must not be sharply done. You don't just have to expose your body, expose what you're not supposed to expose, or dress in a very funny way. Because when you do, people were like, they are disconnected from what you're talking about. They are just looking at you, the way you're dressed. Every other thing you're saying is not resonating with them anymore, because you've already put them off by the dressing you're putting on. So you have to be very professional when you are, giving out your content as a public speaker, so that people will not be distracted by the way you look and not, get the message you're trying to pass to them. Then lastly, I want to say, do not cram your presentation. You speak from the place of abundance. You speak from the place of what is in the inside of you. Do not try to be like some other person. Do not try to be like the next speaker or the next speaker or the next speaker. Just be you. You don't need to cram anything. Yes, you can have your bullet points, you can have your slides, but you don't need to cram them, because when you do, you get confused. I can remember those days when we were in primary school. Then we need to cram our notes. And when you get into the exam hall and you forget one line of it, you are thrown off completely. That day, you're not going to write anything in your question paper because of what? You did not read to assimilate, you read to cram and to come and dish it out. So as a public speaker, you have to avoid that part of you cramming your content. You should be able to master your content, know what you want to tell the people out there, and then rehearse it. That's the place of rehearsals. You have to practice it so that you have your content. Yes, you can read out one or two lines, but not cramming, what you have to say to the people. So this is what I have for us today, because public speaking, like I said, is for every one of us. It's not just for content creators. It's not just for motivational speakers. It's not for pastors, but it is for everyone that must talk in the public. So let's, build up ourselves in that aspect of public speaking. It is something we must learn. And there is one other thing I want to say. Look out for opportunities to speak. Lisa, thank you very much. I'm very grateful for this privilege. Look out for opportunities to speak, because when you speak, you become better. Yes, when you speak, you become better. When you speak, you get to see your errors and you improve on them. Don't just sit out and be looking for platforms to come and locate you. Look out for platform. If they say who will speak on so far it resonates with you, please put your name there. Put yourself out there, sell yourself. That is when you get better in the act of public speaking. So look out for opportunities, platforms, small groups on Facebook, or just look out for opportunity for you to speak to people. Because when you do, it's going to help you to build your capacity, to build your strength, to build your confidence, and give you more clarity in what you are doing. And do you know what? If you have a spirit and a message in the inside of you, if you have an idea in the inside of you, if you have a story to tell, you can't hide for long. So it is high time we come out from obscurity to limelight, because you do not belong to the backstage of life. You have a message. Share your message to your world without fear. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Well, I actually wrote in the Facebook group such a comprehensive list of advice that you've given there. You've covered a lot of things, and I hope people were taking notes. I certainly was. You know, you talked about so many things there. We do actually have a question, Mercy, for you quickly. Someone has just commented on how they love your enthusiasm, and they're asking, what was your experience the first moment you realized that you could make an impact by sharing your message with the world through public speaking? Was there someone you could share your joy or excitement with?
Okay, yes, I think in 2020, I got, I am a mindset coach, and I believe at that point, your light bulb clicks in, when your light bulb clicks, like you begin to ask yourself, oh, so I can actually do this. I have often had my message. I wrote my first book this year, this March. I launched this March. So I've always had a message while growing up in the inside of me. I feel there is something I just need to tell the next person by my side. And then sometimes I share it. Sometimes I just smile about it. It's bottled inside of me, and I'll just be looking at you like, I know I have something to say. But at that point, I had a coach speak, about clarity, about confidence, and showing up live on camera, and was like, it's now resonated so well with me. I was like, I think I have to start sharing my message. And at that point, what I got was just have a group, get a group of women, open a Facebook group. I was like, me, what will I be saying to them, like on daily basis, weekly basis, month? What content will I be creating? What will I be saying to them? And it was so strong in my heart that I was like, okay, let me go ahead. And you know what? Sometimes you don't have the full clarity of what you're doing, but you just have to get started. Because if you don't start, you will not know the next step. So that was exactly what happened to me. 2020, I started sharing my story, how I went through depression. I started telling other women, you too can be better. You too can come out of what you're going through and become, a better woman. You can own yourself. You can blossom in the place of purpose. And I started speaking. And I noticed that what I was resonating with a lot of women in my environment, and it started getting better. So at that point, I realized I was spoken to, like it's as if the was directed to me. When we're having the training, it was as if she was talking to me, Mercy, you just have to get up. You just have to live where you are. You just have to, become visible. You don't have to hide yourself anymore. You have a message. And that was how I got up. So sometimes someone may be talking to you. Sometimes it just comes from that feeling from the inside of you, like a push from the inside that you have to do something. So I don't know if I'm able to.
That's a great answer. And what I would also say is, I hope that this whole summit is going to inspire people. After hearing both of you speak so far, I know there's so much there that people can grab hold of that will inspire them to make that choice. At the end of the day, I think of two quotes that inspired me. One said to me, and I'm sure you've all heard it. Oh gosh, it went completely out of my head. I was going to say it's about perfection, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So it was kind of, better done than perfect. So like, I think sometimes we're looking for perfection. Perfection doesn't exist, but just do it. It's like you say, you started a Facebook group, even if only 2, 3, 5, 10 people join, you're making an impact in their world. It doesn't matter if just one person listens to you. This isn't about reaching out, going viral, reaching millions. And, you know, you've got something that somebody needs to hear, and you need to find those people, your audience, that need to hear it. Brilliant, brilliant chat today. Thank you so much for that. We're going to move ahead now with our next speaker. And we're going to move forward right now with sorry, excuse me, I just have to pull this up, with Ursula. Ursula is next, and she is a confidence voice coach. Ursula Botha combines her specialization in as a speaking coach, actress, and voice artist to enhance the confidence of others. She's qualified with the Master of Fine Arts with distinction and honors in live performance and a BA in drama from the University of Stellenbosch. Ursula's keynotes are value-packed with practical tools that you can actually use to make an impact in the way that you show up and communicate. Now, with those sort of credentials, I am very, very excited to hear what Ursula has to share with us. Can you come to the stage, Ursula? We'd love to hear from you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for that introduction, Lisa Marie, and thank you for having me here. It's an absolute honor. And to echo what all three the ladies today, Iskra and Mercy and Lisa Marie, have been saying, is about sharing your story. Now, the thing about sharing your story for me, it's one of the hardest things, and it always makes me feel extremely vulnerable, but it's where your power lies. So on that note, I want to share with you a little bit about my story. So growing up, I had an extreme shyness. It kept me small, unheard, unseen. People would often ask, what's wrong with you? And it was just this shyness holding me back. And so I started doing acting classes as a vehicle of self-expression. And for the first time in my life, I got to be seen and heard and experienced, and it made me feel so powerful. So I wanted to do more of it. And I put all my energy into it, and I started getting really good. You know, where you put your energy, you will develop. So I was winning the awards, I was getting the external validation, and then I got dependent on that external validation from everyone else. And then when I pursued acting and my career, I reached a ceiling. And apparently, I'd never known this, apparently I had an actor's worst nightmare, a speech impediment. So I have a sibilant S, which just means your S is not very crisp and clear. And I had to fix this. I had to fix it. So I did everything I could. I went to speech therapists, voice coaches, braces, jaw surgery. And the surgeon, he said to me that this surgery's got a 99% success rate. Guess what? I turn out to be the 1% where this operation fails. So back at it. Voice coaches, speech therapists, braces, drilling into my jaw. And then one day I remember driving back from another voice coaching session with a long list of everything that is wrong with your voice, Ursula. And I was feeling so frustrated and hopeless. And I remember as I took this turn, I just thought, I can't do this anymore. And I stopped the car and I went, what if I stopped fixing my voice? And that was the first time in my life that I let go. I let go of this one way of being and sounding and my career had to look like. And that is also the day, that would always mark the day that I became a teacher, a student, a coach, a facilitator of the confident voice. And really a confident voice is your free, authentic voice. Even when we get in our own way, 99% of the time, the confident voice is that 1% that calls you back to you. And today I have the extreme privilege of working with female leaders, entrepreneurs, CEOs, and also in organizations with high performers to help them express their confident voices. And especially this year, I've been noticing a big shift, this gear change into expressing our authentic, free voices with empowerment and with a confidence, a competence, and a credibility. And I believe that as we've established today, that public speaking is not only on the stage speaking audience, but it's in putting your hand up in a meeting or walking into a cafe and speaking to somebody new. These are our voices. And what I want to share with you is my methodology that I use, which is the foundation of this confident voice. And a lot of this echoes everything that's already been said today, but with a bit of research and a lot of influence from Sylvia Ann Hewlett, her studies on executive presence. The model that I use is, there are 4 elements. Now, the first part is mindset. And I know this would resonate with a lot of people in here today. And one aspect we look at is knowledge, knowing thyself. What differentiates you? And that's a tough question. What do you bring to the table that's different to everyone else? And the answer is in your story. And being able to express that with the world. And then the second part is communication. And here we look at the voice, how you speak, your body and your voice as an instrument, and learning how to play that instrument and not get into the diminishing habits, the ums and the way we diminish ourselves, because sometimes we're not even aware. Then the third element is gravitas. What a beautiful word, gravitas. And this is being rooted in your field of expertise, having that knowledge. And again, I keep repeating this, we're in a room full of people who are so rooted in their expertise. And I know when I started my business, I wanted to spread myself so thin. I wanted to do business writing and talk about sustainable living and talk about speaking skills. And I had to promise myself for 2 years to just focus on just the voice and speaking, to root and ground in there. I'm moving into my 2nd year of my business, so we're getting there. And then the last part is appearance, image, because humans are visual creatures. And so becoming aware of what am I communicating with my image and what is that saying and expressing about my confident voice. And so they're all of these 4 elements, so it's 4. So it's your mindset, communications, the voice, your gravitas, it's your expertise, your substance, and then your image. And all of them feed into each other and they filter each other. And now, lastly, I'd like to leave you with a game. And this is something that we learned from Stanislavski. He is the father of modern acting. And he uses this method called what if. And actors use this to unlock all the possibilities for their characters. So what if? And I want you to play that game. What if I walk into that room tomorrow as my most confident self? What if I go to that meeting or that experience as this confident version of myself? And it's the clarity that Iskra was speaking about. So play the game. What if? And thank you for having me here. And I'd love to open the floor for any questions about the model, about the voice, the mindset, the gravitas, or the image.
Fantastic. Wow. Thank you, Ursula. You shared so much in that short space of time that you had with us. Thank you. I really took those 4 things very clearly to mind, because if you can remember those 4 things, then all the other comes into it, doesn't it? Really good explanation today about talking. Lovely to hear your story as well. Really amazing. And thank you for what you're doing as well for others in helping them to have this confidence. It's great that we have people that are willing to take this on, you know, and like you say, you've niched down and decided this is the important area that I want to help people with. We have a question here from Michael. He said, thanks, Ursula. Do you work with women with speech challenges and impediments?
Hello, Michael. So I actually, one of my favorite clients, she actually has a speech impediment. Now, I'm not a speech therapist, so if somebody needs a speech therapist for a speech impediment, I would always guide them to the expert, and that's not my expertise. But what we've unlocked for her is, and this is something I believe, is to work with what you've got. So with her speech impediment, it's also in the construct of her mouth. So she would also have to go for an operation. And rather, it's about working with what you've got, working with the voice. So she's got her, we do the vocal warm-up, so work a lot with the voice to free it from all the tension. And her confidence is soaring. She is speaking, she is creating content, people are connecting with her all over the world. I'm inspired by her confidence. So it's unlocked that freedom for her, but it's definitely, I would always steer somebody to, if they have a real speech impediment, to see a speech therapist. Work with what you've got. I believe in that.
Work with what you've got. I love it. We did have a question as well from Daniel, who asked after Mercy was speaking about the tools that she uses to overcome the fear before speaking. Now, I wanted to change it slightly for you and say, you know, because you went to acting classes as a child and you overcome that shyness, do you feel that going into your adulthood that allowed you didn't feel the fear because you'd been doing it from such a young age?
I still feel the fear. I feel the fear. And I think feeling the fear is such a great thing, because it means, for example, when people talk about imposter syndrome, I go like, ugh. But imposter syndrome, we do experience it. And whenever I experience it, I know, like, I have to pep talk, like give myself a little talk and be like, this means that you are stretching yourself, that you're going beyond the comfort zone. So I hope we're all feeling the fear. So that's definitely something that I still deal with. But on the question of dealing with anxiety, because that's most probably one of the most popular questions I get. And we had this, and always the answer is, and Mercy mentioned it, is breath. When I get into my breathing, I get into my unconscious, I calm my nervous system down. Breath is your source of power, but we really have to experience the breath to know the magic in it. And the other day I was working with a group of bankers, and the one girl, she came to me and she said, I have the shakes, I shake. And I said to her, breath, and she thought, okay. And she went and she had an interview and she came back and she was shaking, and we did the breathing and she went, oh, wow. Breathing calms me down. So breath is definitely the key. I wish I could give like a more profound answer.
Brilliant advice. And it's different for everybody too, isn't it? I mean, Mercy answered that question in the chat here, and she said she takes a deep breath and says some affirmations like, Mercy, you are capable, etc. I certainly found affirmations can be really helpful as well. And I think putting yourself in the right frame of mindset and in a good mood, and just preparing yourself for it. You know, there's an element of preparing whenever you do something like this. It's not like, you know, mentioned earlier, you just switch the camera on and go. No, there is preparation involved, and it's really important. Thank you so much for sharing that. If we have any more questions that come up, we're going to be sharing them at the very end. So I hope you will stay with us and be ready to participate towards the end. And so now we're going to move on to our very next speaker. Thank you so much, Ursula. It's been a pleasure to have you here today with the other speakers joining us to share. So now we're going to be welcoming lovely Senada Dervisevic. I knew that would happen. Get my tooth stuck in. Dervisevic. I can't say it. Dervisevic. Sorry, Senada. I'm sorry. I don't know what's wrong with getting my mouth around that today. But she is a motivational speaker and coach. And she's a world motivational speaker and an empowering woman specifically coach. She's a mum and also the author of an amazing book, which is called Overcoming Hardship. And it's available to purchase on Amazon. The book was written to help people who are facing hardships in their lives. And her mission is to help people to overcome challenges and hardships that they themselves are personally going through. And I'm excited to welcome to the stage at this time, Senada, to share with us. I apologize for your name, lovely. I just couldn't get my mouth around that today. I'm so sorry.
It's okay, Lisa, don't worry about it. I will teach you after how to pronounce it, because my origins are from Bosnia, but I'm based in UK next to you, not far from you. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my beautiful souls around the world. It's my pleasure to see you all. So like we've been talking about the importance of public speaking, what I would like to share with everybody is I started public speaking about 4 years ago. And the important is like we all used to talk about fear. I can see people are asking about fear, yeah? Let me tell you about the fear. We all had that fear. I remember first time coming live and my coach was like, oh, you're going live? And I was shaking. So what I want to mention here is the important is also to have hope and belief in yourself. Because if you all think about it, if we believe in ourselves, and like I use the quote from my book, Overcoming Hardship, I use the quote, if you believe it, you will achieve it. So that's the main thing in our life, to have that belief in ourselves. Because if you don't have belief in yourself, it's hard to build anything. But once you come to that point, when you believe in yourself, when you think I can achieve, when you work on your mindset, then you know you will achieve that. Like I said, 4 years ago, I was shaking. Now I can come on the stage within 5 minutes, not even knowing what's the talk gonna be about. And I have built that confidence. I have built that confidence within 5 minutes. I can get ready and just share my story. So this is why I want to mention everybody how important with public speaking is believing in yourself. Also surround yourself with only quality people. I always as well, like my story was, I had to move from the place where I was because I was not happy there. So I had to move as well and surround myself with only quality people, from the people which gonna support me, from the people which I'm gonna learn. Like we are all here to support each other, working in different fields, and we're supporting, and we can all learn something from each other, and also share, like I share my knowledge because I'm qualified in different fields. Like I worked in medical field for 15 years. So in my book, Overcoming Hardship, it's just not the story of my life. It's also the knowledge I have and that I obtain. Like during the pandemic, people have been facing, most of us fall in depression and anxiety. We have our communities, and that I work in our field with the women. I empower women how to, from that dark place, how to move step by step by taking baby steps, how to succeed again and become successful again. Because we all been in dark places. I've been myself. 4 years ago, I was as well that I was literally bed bound. But what I want to mention here is also to have a faith in God. No matter what religion you are, have a faith in God. It doesn't matter which religion you are, the God is only one. And I always say, and when I faced last year a challenge where the doctor told me I got only 6 weeks to live, that was the most hard message that I heard in my life. But what kept me going, that kept me going, the faith of the God, because my faith was going stronger and stronger that time, where I said to doctor, you know what, doctor, you're just a human being like me. My Lord, my creator, he's the one who decides when my life is going to be taken away. And my faith in God is so strong. And I know it's not my time to go, because God has made me for purpose. He wants me to have and share the knowledge I have with the world, so I can impact the world. Because like I say, why do we speak? We speak in order to share our own knowledge, to teach other people other different things. Like I teach them that, you know, from dark place, from hardship, I was there 4 years ago. And look at me now, I'm on top again. So there is always, you know, like they say, there is always after dark, at the end of the tunnel, you will see the light. But I always say, have a faith in God first, work with me wisely, start from the baby steps that I even shared in this, my book, you know, and then you will achieve, and you will come where you want to be, even if they want to be like a public speakers like we are, coaches like we are. Everything's, you know, like I say, and many people who know me, I like to make impossible possible. And that's me. When somebody gives me the highest challenge and say, can you do it? I just laugh and I just say, you don't know me very well, but my quote is, I like to make impossible possible. Because for me, everything's possible. Every problem has solution. I'm not at that stage where I panic, somebody come across to me and say, oh, I got that problem. I've been through a lot. My origins are from Bosnia, so I have survived and faced the war, which happened in my country, where I was only 9 years old. So I had to, with 15 years old and 9 years old, I had to decide where am I going to go with my life. So I had to pack my suitcase, not knowing even where am I going to go. So I decided to come to United Kingdom. I didn't even know what I'm going to be facing. I didn't even know the A in English. I didn't know the language, but I believed in myself. I believed in the God, and I always had that confidence that I can achieve anything that I put my mind on. So what I want to say here as well, with public speaking, with everyday life, not just the public speaking, it's important, our mindset. Because we have all negative thoughts. They come and go. And it all depends how we challenging these thoughts. Because the important thing is, when the negative thoughts occur, like we said, we need to change that stinky thinking then. Because when negative thoughts occur, we're all negative. We don't see positive, nothing. But I always say, if we challenge those negative thoughts, change them in positive ones, so then we're going to see positive results. Because I always say, Positive thinking, positive outcome. Negative thinking, negative outcome. So this is the importance of our mindset. And also, I would also suggest everybody, if you're not at a happy place where you are, if you're not surrounded with the people which, which are not helping you, if you're not surrounded with the people which don't support you, then you need to ask yourself, am I surrounded with the right people? What do I have to do next? Do I have to move on? Do I have to look for the people like me, open-minded people, from where we were ready to learn anything in the life? And that's how we're supposed to do. Because for me, knowledge is everything. I believe we need to learn. And I always say, I'm always learning. Every day, my day's task is praying, meditation, and knowledge. My books are my best friends. So that's why I see the importance for knowledge, not just people speaking. Because if you just read one book, and then there is another millions book to read, so then what did you actually learn if you just read one book? So I keep reading every day, different books, not just for mine is the first book I start, and there is another 3-4 books that I read each day. Because from the books, you can learn many things, and all the time, then you can share every day more and more knowledge with your audience and with your clients and even with your everyday friends. So also, like I said, the confidence is very important. But what I want to mention is the passion. The passion is very important, because I worked in medical field for 15 years. I had a good job. I can't say it was not bad or anything. I had a good job. It provided me enough money, but I was not happy there. So I had to decide 4 years ago, come on, move on. What do you want to do? So my public speaking, my writing, because I'm the author of The Overcoming Hardship, and where I'm also writing my second book, which is hopefully going to be soon out as well. It's always educate yourself further. Educate yourself further. Learn public speaking as well, because you can't just, if what we taught and had a training 4 years ago, you have to continue, you have to be continent with learning and speaking, because confidence is very important. Sharing the knowledge is important. Focus. Like I said, we write and we speak to impact the world. And why I've written this book? In order to help others to overcome the hardship, because I know so many people are going still through the hardship. Some people are suffering in silence. And I know, I always say, I cannot be with everybody 24 hours, but they can always order my book, which is available on Amazon. And this book, if I can't get in touch with them straight away, they have a book where they got skills and steps, baby steps to take it. Such I shared, like I worked in medical field for 15 years, I shared the baby step for depression and anxiety, what to do from baby step 1 in order to get out or get up from that sick bed. So this is what we need to share. And also focus is very important. Focus and what you really want to do next, what you really want to achieve. Because if I say, if my quote, if you believe it, you will achieve it. But first you need to know what you want to achieve. You need to set your goals and dreams. For example, this month is ending. Set it before it ends and set your goals and dream, and then work on it so that at the end of the December, end of the year, you achieve that dream. I know it's not easy, all this success, it's taking time. Nothing doesn't come overnight, but step by step, we all been at the, darkest place and, from zero. And look, by taking those steps, we are moving forward. We are moving forward and we are where we want to be. So one thing to everybody is, just believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Get yourself the right coach. If you don't know what to do, reach to me, reach to any of these coaches that that you want to reach to, that it depends what you want to do. Reach to us. We can help you. Even if you are the darkest place, we can help you to succeed. And in a few years' time, you could be here on the stage with us. So just important is to take that right steps. Take from zero, because we've been zero. My main quote on the book is also, I'll just share it with you all. I went from zero to become my own hero, because I want to share that I was at the darkest place 4 years ago, but I believed myself. I thought, okay, this is the test from the God that I have to overcome. But once I overcome, I also knew that God is preparing something better for me and my daughter, So when you realize that, this hardship is a test from the God, it's just a temporary season, like spring is now, it will pass. The winter comes, dark place, we don't like it because the dark is, longer and everything. And we think, when we're going to see the spring. Yeah, so every hardship is a temporary season. You just need to have patience and, to overcome that and believe in yourself. Because if you do, then you're gonna be able to move to the next step. And you will see after the dark, the light. So, and motivation is very important. Believing in yourself and affirmation. If you're alone, living alone, you don't have nobody to tell you or motivate you. You have to learn to motivate yourself, because people come and go in our life. Nobody can be with us 24 hours. We need to learn to motivate ourselves. I always use everyday motivation from myself. I'm smart, I'm enough, I'm unstoppable. And that keeps me going. Because if I believe in myself that I'm unstoppable, who can stop me? No one. No one can stop me then to achieve my goals and dreams. So that's very important. I would always say, believe in yourself, have faith in God, have faith in yourself. And trust me, if you follow even the steps in my book, in few years' time, you'll be able to achieve at least one of your goals and dreams. Because my goal and dream was holding my book in my hands. And I joined 90-day challenge, where they question who's going to be able to do and write the book in 90 days. So I did it. I believed in myself and I worked hard. It wasn't easy. Don't get me wrong. I'm a single mother. I got things to do during the day. At the night, I was writing, but I said to set my mindset and said, I got 90 days, and in 90 days, I want this book to be written, and I did it. That's why I believed in myself. I had a faith in God and faith in myself. And if you believe it, you achieve it. And just keep going. What I said, if you're facing hardship, you can run. But just start crawling if you need to. Start crawling like a baby. Because once you start crawling, then after crawling like a baby, you're going to start walking. After walking, you're going to start running. And once you're running, you're going to start running faster and faster. And that's when you're going to be able to achieve your goals and dream faster. So I would always say, reach to any of us. If you want to succeed in your life, reach to any of us that are here today with all of you. We can show you those steps. And tomorrow, or maybe in 4 or 5 years time, any of our clients, any of the people which want to succeed, they'll probably be one day with us on the stage in 5 years time. If they set goals and mindset on their goals and dreams. So I think that's enough for me to share it. So, thank you very much, Lisa, for everything and for having me on this Global Speakers Talk.
Well, thank you, Senada. And I have to say, again, I'm absolutely blown away by that talk, by all our speakers today, how we can talk about the same topic, but we're all coming at it from our own personal angle. And I think that is something to stress here for people listening too, that again, and I know that it's just been mentioned, we are the only unique one of us. You know, we are the only one that can present in that way or talk about that thing in that way or do that thing in that way. So it's about finding your identity and how you differentiate. And you've just proved that by, you know, again, talking about the same topic, but coming with it with your points and your angle. And what I loved as well is you mentioning and the speech lit up when you mentioned about the people around you, you know, that's so important to have positive people around you, because if you just have one negative person that says to you, who do you think you are, going up and speaking, why do you think people want to hear what you have to say? It can be enough to for someone to go, well, yeah, okay, and listen to it. And we, you know, obviously we don't want that. And this is it. It's about having great people around you, isn't it? And there was a quote put in here along the lines from a very famous quote from Jim Rohn. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So again, it's a reference to making sure you're around the right people. And we've got some questions for you, if that's okay. A lot of people made comments about books and how important they are. Obviously, you heard my intro, you know that I think books are so important. Lifetime learning, you mentioned that. Keeping up to date with your knowledge, so important, you know, keeping current and learning, just keep learning, right? And we've got here a question. Do you have any book writing processes or habits that help you? It's very inspiring, Ursula said, for her to hear that you're already on your 2nd book.
Yes, I do. Like I said, when I chosen this job after, you know, working 15 years ago, I do this job with all my love and my passion. And my aim is also to help people overcome hardship, where like if people have problems with the hardship and they come to me, you know, just the way when they have a first talk with me, they feel better. They start having that hope. You know, when you start having the hope, that's when you start believing yourself, even that, you know, 5%. If you never had even 1%, you know, it's important to build and to start having that 5%. I do have my, let's say, season, my time for my writing. And in my bag, it's always my book and a few books that I'm always holding, my journal, my notebook. So whenever I'm like between busy days or meetings or whatever, you know, when I'm on lunch or coffee, I would write between that free time. Or the most inspiration time for me, it's, you know, after we've done the busy day, when we put the kids to bed, it's night time. That's when you know, I'm rested from everyday, you know, task, and I can think about it, you know, since it's important that when the message comes to you in your brain, that you already have the pen with you and the book, so that you put that quote in your book or a notebook. Because I always usually do handwriting, then I do it, you know, I typing. Because you see, sometimes when we going through some situation, then that quote comes and that thinking. And it's important to have that pen then and to put it on, because after maybe 5 hours, I'll forget about it. So this is how I do my writing, you know, skills and use my writing skills. And yes, I do. Like, I'm not sure which of clients have asked if I can help her or him, you know, to help with the writing, to help to achieve having the book in their dreams. Of course, I can help it. I know the way how to do it. I know the procedure after. And obviously then after, I can even get them to the publishing house. So I can start learning them if they're interested about that from zero as well, how to write, the process, everything. I've been through it. Like I said, in 90 days, I joined the challenge. Only few was made it. like in 90 days too. Like we set the timetable, and by 90 days, my book was done. Because
Amazing.
I think the timing also is very important. Because if I give my clients, let's say, a 1 year, that's too much. That's too much. So I first talk to the client what's he or she at the moment facing, and ask her first, what do you think, how long you need time to work on it? And if she tells me 6 months, I said, okay, let's do it in 6 months. But then I try, once they build the confidence, I try that she does it in 3 or 4 months. So when she realized she's done it before, that's when all that happiness and, that believing in yourself, it comes inside. Because it's all inside work. Inside work is harder than outside work. Sometimes appearance, we could look happy, smiling, but nobody doesn't know how we feel inside, you see. So inside work is very important. And like I said, mindset, when the negative talks comes, we start thinking negative. We can't see nothing positive, no matter writing in the book something positive. So I always say then change that thinking. So it is thinking, because I don't like it. That person doesn't like it. We don't like it. So we want that person to start thinking positive, because positive thinking, positive outcome, negative thinking, negative outcome. So yes, this person which was asking about writing, yes, he or she can reach to me. I can help you to hold your dreams in your hand. If your dream is to hold and have your book, even in 1 year time, doesn't matter. Dream is a dream. And if you had a dream, you can succeed. Like I said, if you believe it, you will achieve it.
Well, it's like you said as well about taking baby steps. If you take those little steps, and then before you know it, you've achieved this much, and you look and you go, oh, I've already done this, and your confidence builds, and it's like a spiral effect, isn't it, where you can sort of keep going. There's great strategies that you shared there. Thank you so much for that. We also had Shabari in the Facebook. She was asking about the 90-day challenge that you did. Is it still running? Because she feels that she would really benefit from something like that.
At the moment, it's not running, but I'm looking to set up something like that soon. So if I do it, then, like I said, she can reach to me. There is also, like behind the work that I'm doing. So, that can be done as well. So I do have like that up, and if she's interested, she can reach to me. We can talk about it. We can set for her 90-day challenge. If she wants me to set it just for her, if everybody else saying they need 6 months, 1 year, and she wants to try it to reach that challenge, we can make that happen. Like I said, I like to make impossible possible.
Okay. Fabulous. Wonderful. Well, also it's about taking, another one of my favorite sayings, taking imperfect action, because obviously nothing's perfect. So just do it, isn't it? Just start somewhere. And then, like you say, those baby steps. And before
yes, action is everything, Lisa, because goal or dreams without action, it's not a dream or a goal. Because if you think to me, I got a dream and a goal, and you're still sitting at the same place on that sofa, that means you don't want that dream to happen. You don't want that goal to happen. So action, like they say, action speaks louder than words. Yeah. So that person has to be able to get up from that sofa in order to achieve. Because I can give her all my knowledge, all skills, but if he or she is still deciding to sit on that sofa, then it's not possible for her or him to achieve. So action is important for everything, because you see, if we didn't take this action, we all come from different countries, different time zone. If we didn't take this action today, all of us, we wouldn't be here to share our story, to our knowledge. We wouldn't be here to help others, So action is very important. The discipline, I would say discipline as well is very important, because if you set the goals in a dream, things in the life come which are disturbing us between. But discipline is very important. You need to have discipline discipline and say, hang on, I took this 15 minutes for my writing. I'll switch even my phone off in order to get this done. So for me, discipline is very important. When I set the goals and dream, I discipline myself. I say, this is what I have to do it, and I have to do it now. So, and I know the phone is distraction, and sometimes scrolling, what people, they have a habit, scrolling on social media, up and down and that. And I say, you need to discipline yourself with the phone first, because how many hours you wasting just scrolling? You could be then working on one of your goals or dream. Personally, I straight away ask, what did you achieve just by scrolling up and down? Nothing. And if he or she took this pen, maybe in 1 year, she would hold the book in her dreams.
Sure. Yeah, I actually also feel with you, along with discipline, I think resilience and flexibility are really important too. When I think about, coming on today with this presentation, I always plan to meet everybody ahead of time, chat to them, make sure, I can pronounce names correctly, check that we've got all the information correct. And there were a few things to do to correct today before the presentation. And we did that. And what it meant was that we ran out of time to do everything that I'd like to have done. But that doesn't matter, because it still leads to the action of taking on the summit. And obviously I made the apology for not being able to pronounce names correctly, but my intention was to do it. But if we have that flexibility and that resilience, we're kind to ourselves, and we say, well, things don't always go the way we plan. And even if we've put that discipline in, things can come and try and trip us up. So having all of those values are just really important, aren't they, for bringing the whole thing together. Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. We have got another quick question for you, if you're up for it.
Yes.
Nicholas said he loves your passion. Can you share more about a specific time when you lost your faith and found yourself overcome with pain and depression? What specifically did you finally do to overcome it, or your first steps to overcome it?
Let me tell you, I never lost the faith in God. I am the person, a woman of ministry, which always believed in God. So I had also, my mom passed away when I was a child. So during the war, I lost my two heroes, which was my mom and granddad. So I learned a lot from my mom. I would also say that first education, it comes from home. How we being brought up, what our parents taught us and teach us. My mom was like me, powerful woman. So even this book I dedicated to her. I lost her when I was only 15 years old. And I knew she's even now listening and, watching me from heaven. So I have learned that faith in God is very important. I never lost that faith, because you see, just being 8, 9 years old, and experience the war, where the bombs were going around us. Yeah, I've experienced the stuff the people don't even see in the movies. And at that stage that nobody can really help you, only God. My family and my mom was, around me. Bomb was, weapons, bombs, army, everybody's there. We had to walk from one border to another. Yeah. It was scary experience. Any 1 second, we don't know whether I'm going to be alive or my family members. And, when you experience like that in life, then you realize that nothing's not important than God, and having a faith in God, because only God in that situation could save us. Same last year, I have been told I got cancer, and the doctor told me 4 to 6 weeks I got living. If I didn't have faith in God, I wouldn't be here today speaking with any of you. With the depression and anxiety and mental health, it has really bad impact on us. Very, very bad. I won't say depression can kill you. I would say the depression can really destroy you. It can destroy you, and it has destroyed me 4 years ago, because I was overcoming the hardship in my life, and I had to do it everything alone. I was facing it alone. I had to do it alone. So for people with experience and to understand mental health, you really need to go through it. Because I had mental health professionals, which used to say to me, Senada, you should do this job because you understand this more than us. Because, and also I want to mention, because we all come from different communities, we have problem in our communities as well, that because of this world mental, yeah, people are treating other family members or partners when they're going through the meaning of the word mental, they're saying they're crazy. The person which is facing depression and anxiety is crazy at all. I am always going to say the most intelligent people in the world have been and going through depression and anxiety. And I'm going to also say this depression and anxiety that I faced and all other humans being, it's not because of them, it's because of the people which have impact on our life, and they mainly caused it. They mainly caused it, depression and anxiety to us. And then they calling us after they've done it, they call us by name. No, I will always say the most intelligent people in the world, they go through depression and anxiety. But I know it's the darkest place where people get suicidal thoughts. You don't know what to do. You come to that point of the life, you don't know what to do. But that's when you work on yourself. Have faith in God, faith in yourself, and start taking these baby steps. Like I said, crawling. Because when you're bedbound, it's just important is to take that first step, first baby step, and that's hold to the coffee table and start crawling. Crawl until you're not able to walk. Once you walk, trust me, it's going to take you maybe 1-2 weeks. You're going to start running. And when you start running, that's when your success is going to be like this, going go poo, poo, poo. And then suddenly after 1-2 years, you're going to be on top of again. So always have. And the anxiety, yes, we do get fears. That time anxiety comes over the roof. But it's also important to learn that, how to control anxiety and fears. You know what I say? In order to, kill or destroy an anxiety or to succeed, we have to face our fears. Face that fear. If you thought, like when we suffered with depression and anxiety, we got fear to go out because we are scared already. People are talking about it. What if somebody see me outside or somebody crying? What are they going to think about it? Don't think like that, because you are an important person here. Doesn't matter what they think. If they don't support you, there will be another maybe 5 people around the world which are not even near you. They will support you sooner or later. So trust in yourself and believe in yourself. And trust me, from the dark place, you will see light again at the end of the tunnel. Because I use also my quote in my book, verily after difficulties, it comes an ease. And I promise you that, and this is the promise from God. So if the God has promised that to me or you, what are you worried about? Just have patience, with this test from God and this hardship. And it's temporary season. After this season and pain and hardship, the best days are coming, your happy days and successful days.
Thank you so much for sharing today, Senada. And I'm actually going to take some completely imperfect action now. And I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to change the PowerPoint because I want to introduce a speaker who wasn't able to come earlier, but I know that she is ready to speak now. She had some technical difficulties in joining us earlier. So now I would like to introduce Fathimath Fathimath Brigden. She's an international keynote speaker. Miss Fathimath is from the Maldives, and she's currently residing in Malaysia. She's an enthusiastic certified coach, trainer, and international keynote speaker. She inspires leaders to influence their professional collaborators to expand their communication and productivity. Fathimath has 2 master's degrees, a master's in international child welfare and a master's in business administration from the UK and Australia, respectively. She's currently reading for a doctorate in business administration. She started a stint in journalism as the editor of a local magazine with a long years serving as a lecturer teaching communication and business-related subjects to undergraduate and graduate students. Additionally, she designed modules and facilitated training in customer service, business communication, mentoring, and coaching in workplace productivity. She has 30+ years of experience working in the public and private sectors. She also runs her own establishments, namely non-governmental organizations, and her own businesses, which added to her extensive knowledge and experience in training. With Fathimath's help, dozens of individuals and companies have reached their target goals successfully, as her focus is on solving problems of individuals and organizations to be effective and productive. To create a positive, productive change in individuals and organizations, you can visit her website, fathimath.com. I'm going to stop the share now, and I'm going to welcome her to the stage. Welcome, Fathimath.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for the host, Lisa. And of course, this platform that has given me the opportunity. Now, I believe this is a common occurrence. I happen to be the only Asian within this kind of platforms. Now, let me ask a question from the audience. Do you remember the moment that you stood in front of an audience? The awkward moments, the challenges. Like tonight, I was supposed to be the first speaker, but internet failed me and I couldn't join. So here I am. After so many excellent speakers, I'm giving my speech. Now, let me take you to my story. I was only 8 years old. Now, I'm a woman who has experienced all kinds of traumas, abuse, physical, mental, you name it. I have gone through it as a child. Probably that's why one of the reasons I had problems. You may notice I have a little bit of difficulty in speaking, pronouncing certain words. And kids, they made fun of me. Now, this is one of the reasons I used to sit in the back row of my classroom. I wanted to sit further away. I didn't want to talk. And if a teacher asked me questions, I refused to respond. One day I remember, this was supposed to be a public speaking class that day. The teacher put a table. Those days we had wooden tables and chairs. Some of you would know that. He put the table there, and each of us, when our names are called out, we had to go out to the front of the classroom and speak. Imagine me, my little me, with all these imposter syndrome, the lack of confidence. When my name was called, I stood there in front of the table with my tiny hands. I couldn't speak a single word. My lips were trembling, my hands were shaking, and my heart was thumping so loudly, I couldn't utter a single word. Fast forward years later, in 1998, along with a couple of my friends, I co-founded a non-governmental agency, an NGO specifically target for the isolated, neglected society in the Maldives. Children with disabilities, women, and of course, those affected by disasters. I had a sister who had a disability. Unfortunately, along with my mom and my sister passed away in a fire accident in 2011. But after 25 years, Care Society, the NGO I founded, stands strong, serving the community. Now, why I'm mentioning about Care Society? Care Society was the first NGO in the Maldives. We didn't have any political affiliation or any connections with top business people. We were commoners. I was a commoner. And slowly, because of our strategic decisions, we started become popular and more people came in to get our services. And guess what? I became the face of my society. I was invited to go on the TV channels, radio channels, and even magazines to give my voice. And this is why, my friends, it's so crucial whether you're working with the social sector or with the corporate. Please create that platforms for those who are there, like me, myself. I come from a very poor background. I didn't have money. I didn't have anything actually to access those kind of platforms. But over time, I became confident enough to speak. Now, in 2004, I'm sure all of you here on the audience, you would remember the tsunami that hit Asia in 2004, claiming dozens of lives, livelihoods, and it affected women. Now, I was one of the women who worked with Action Aid International in charge of working on women empowerment program. We did a study on violence against women, and it came to our notice that women had more violence after disasters. Now, I had to take 16 women where we were working with cross-country, Sri Lanka, India, Thailand, Somaliland, Indonesia, and Maldives. And I was in charge of these women. The idea was we were supposed to allow these women to speak in front of the stage, not myself. I was sitting in the front row, and suddenly I was called out to speak. Now, the little myself, who had no confidence, I went to the stage. I knew I had to do for these women. And I remember speaking, saying that this is the real life stories of women. I'm sure you would have heard about Dalit women in India. I have had the fortune to go and personally visit the affected communities. And Dalit women in India, they are called untouchables. And their situation is really something that touched my heart. And this is why I believe we are lucky here in this kind of platforms, and we are able to be the voice. But there are so many women, and especially young people out there, who don't have that voice. And as I stood on the stage in front of thousands and thousands of people there, I spoke up saying, these are the words that you need to hear. The public speaking voice that comes from every person. And I'm so glad all of you here, the speakers, agreed on one thing, that each of us here, even myself, I have a different style of speaking, and I can be my voice for myself as for others. Why I'm saying myself? Because in Asian communities, women, even myself, I remember, I was told by my family, you have to cook for your brothers. You have to clean clothes for your brothers. Why are you not doing that? I'm a woman who loves to do other things. Unfortunately, today I'm lucky enough to be married to a man who does household chores, and I don't have to do because it's something I don't like to do. But the point here is that each of us are unique in the sense that we don't have to compare with other people. I know all of you are excellent speakers. You have been trained to speak, but here I am also finding my voice, joining professional platforms and becoming a speaker so that I can enhance my speech and give the right kind of message. Now, let me take to another scenario. Last year, during tsunami, before pandemic, yeah, I, myself and my husband, we coach young people, and we conducted a communication skills development program for university students. We had about 50 students in the room who are doing nursing. Imagine these Asian young people, they are coming out of the university to serve the community, but they lack confidence. We try to get them on the stage to speak a few words. This is in front of their own colleagues, their friends, but they were not able to utter a single word. One lady, young girl, 17 years, because we got each and everyone to come and just say their names, because we slowly built the process of creating the ability for them to come on the stage, at least to say a few words. Within the first part, a young girl, as I said, held my hand and said, Miss, Madam, can you stay here? Can you hold my hand? I'm so scared, I cannot speak. I said, I'm here for you. You don't have to say anything if you don't want to, but do you want to speak? And she nodded her head because the desire was there. And slowly, by the end of the day, she was able to come and speak because we had 2 minutes speech that we organized at the end of the day as like a contest, and she won as the best speaker that day. So here, what I'm saying is, not everybody has the luxury or access to these kind of platforms. And when I look at all these public speaking forums, it's so expensive and it's not accessible to the most needy people who needs to have a voice. For instance, there are dozens of people in India and other parts of the world who needs that voice. Why I keep repeating the word voice? Because even at home, if you want to make a statement, strong statement in front of somebody who is abusing you or who is mistreating you, we need to be the voice and say no. And this is what I'm saying, listen to me. So my friends, why public speaking is so important, we have come up with different theories, concepts, suggestions how to improve. I'm coming from a different angle, that each and every person in our lives, we need to have the voice. Why we need to have the voice? Because in order for us to make decisions in our own lives and for others, we need to have a voice. So ladies and gentlemen, and my friends, I would say, if possible, and this is a beautiful forum you are allowing us to share. Let's be a bit more open. Let's expand this network and create platforms for those who can practice and learn speaking. Of course, again, my experience is that I try to be perfect, and this is why it's taken me so long, and I'm coming up to my 58 years this year. And I'm just launching my book on success habits, 100 success habits this on Saturday. So what I'm saying is we are people who, as women especially, we are self-critical, we try to be perfect, we want to delay saying there will come a time when we can be better. So my story here is don't wait for that moment, start now. I've been doing live videos every day for the last 50 days. And it's been an experience which I hated at the beginning to listen to myself. But now I think the more you do, you become better. So let's hold hands and open this platform to everybody, not only for small communities, but a wider community. Thank you so much.
Wow, that really touched me. Thank you so much for talking on this platform today. I loved that. I love the way you really brought it back to how important this is for so many people to find their voice. And I'm both part of Global Speakers Talk and another program, which is Finding Your Voice as well. And they're along the same lines. And I think it's like you say, that there's so many people out there that don't have the ability to find a platform or a place to speak out. And that's what I absolutely love about GST, is that we have a platform, we have a community, a very supportive one. And quite honestly, without it, I wouldn't be sitting here now as the host today, because when I first came upon the GST and it was in its initial stages and just starting, I found that, sorry, I was just trying to close off the mute someone, apologies. I found that I was scared of that little green button, which is a strange thing to be scared of, I know, but that little green light. And it's funny how it takes different people in different ways, doesn't it? And there might be people that are ready to share and don't have the fear of sharing their voice, but they actually don't know where. So I would implore them to get in touch with our community, because that's what we specialize in, people having a chance to go live and just practice in front of that camera, because it can be daunting to talk to nobody and everybody at the same time. You know, there's people behind that camera, but you don't see them. But it feels like you're talking to yourself. And I like that you also mentioned about talking back, listening back. I want to ask you a question actually about that. What did you find was particularly beneficial about watching back your recordings that helped you to speed up the process of improving with your speaking?
Thank you, Arinze. That's a very good question. It's commonly asked, you know. Now, because we teaching people how to communicate, that's one thing we do. We tell people, can you record yourself and listen back? First step is listen to yourself without opening the camera, just voice. Secondly, open the camera and listen. Now, there are two approaches, and you can see how you speak, and then also on the camera. Now, to answer your question, at the beginning, I couldn't do it, to be honest. You know, I mean, I can speak like this because I don't have to watch myself. As you said, I have a camera up at the top, so I'm looking there. I'm not looking at myself, seeing how my voice is, you know, how difficult I have speaking, which I think was still I struggle with, to be honest. But I moved a long way now from where I was. But I had coaches, and I don't have a coach as, to guide me there. I would say rather mentors who suggested that you listen. And after the first few videos, I thought, okay, as they say, if you don't listen to yourself talking, who else is going to listen to you? Because you have to listen to yourself first. As they say, you have to love yourself first. So if you don't listen and if you don't find yourself interesting, who else is gonna find yourself interesting? So that made sense to me. And the more I watched, I'm able to make changes and define and refine my messages. And now after 50 days, I can say, like yesterday, I now every day I go back and rewind and watch myself, and I think I'm okay, I'm doing good. So that's the kind of improvement you can see for yourself if you do live video. Live videos is difficult. Like in recording, you can record delete. But in live videos, like you're doing live, and it's raw, you cannot edit anything. But I have learned so much, and I would urge anyone watching here in the audience, if you're not doing it, this is something that will definitely improve your speaking. Just do your live videos, go back and watch yourself, and you will find so many things that you can improve. And the more you watch yourself, you will start loving yourself as well. So thank you so much.
And start small even. I mean, you've done a phenomenal thing there, 50 days live. I know a colleague of mine, she's on 300 and something days live, and you can get to that point, can't you? I mean, for me, I would probably have to start with, let's do 10 days live and then go from there, because but everyone can start where they can. And I think, like I say, Global Speakers Talk community is a great place to do that. And I invite anybody to join our group and come in and just do 10 days live straight. If you miss a day, oh well, it doesn't matter. You're in, you're not perfect, as you said, and you mentioned perfection. I wanted to pick up a really interesting message that was in the chat as well about that. I love the quote that that Steve put in here about perfection, because we do sometimes wait to be really good at something before we put ourselves out there. We want it to be, perfected, and a video and recording allows us to do that. But when you're going live, you've just got to take that imperfect action. And he's written, perfection is not the absence of imperfection, it's the absence of judgment, which I thought was a really, really good point. Thank you, Steve, for that one. Has anyone else got any questions? I'll just check the chat here. I've got Iskra said, your story is so inspirational. Thank you so much for sharing it. And Michael has said, thank you as well. And what would you say to someone who is so shy that they're afraid to speak publicly at all, especially if it's not in their native language? Good question. Very good question.
That's a good question. I agree. This is something people ask me all the time. How do I improve my speaking skills? And my response is, each and every one of us, we have our own different ways. Don't try, I know we give tips and, you can do this, and, you will improve. Now, I don't, sorry, I have to disagree with that, because like I said, the girl, she needs more time. And as a coach, we need to be careful that we don't push people. We ask them what they want, how we can help them. Because based on my experience, I can try, to give some key tips to people to improve, but it doesn't work. If you're really a shy person, and I have had people, I know I'm as someone said, I'm also in Toastmasters. Now, I know one lady who had the fear of public speaking so much, even the first speech, which is, we call icebreaker, she was so scared. She went to the toilet and she threw up every time that happened. So public speaking fear is real, and the fear is different for everyone. What I would say is, if you're really shy, I know people are shy, but if you want to improve and change, you need to find a way that you can be more confident. Now, the problem is with public speaking fear is actually confidence, lack of confidence. So we need to find ways and also find the reasons. Sometimes, like myself, I have the problem, people laughed at me for the way I speak. I was bullied by children. And then that impacted me, my speaking skills. I needed to address that in order for me to become a better speaker. So if you are shy or lack confidence, find somebody or network of people who can help you. Now in Toastmasters, we pressure people to come and do the speeches. I'm different. I said, don't push them. Let them, absorb the environment, come to this kind of platforms, listen to advice to everybody's giving, but don't push people. Let them come and slowly ease out from their comfort zone and let them speak slowly. I'm sorry, sometimes I can be emotional because I have had people who have been there so shy, so afraid to speak, but over time they have become such great, beautiful speakers out there. So my friends, don't push people. Let them develop that confidence so they can speak. And that's my experience working with especially young people. They are, I don't know why, because in schools we don't teach them, or maybe they have their own issues, traumas, but we need to understand, especially young people, because without public speaking, I think they may not succeed well in life, because public speaking is so crucial in our lives, everyday lives, to communicate our messages, whether it's in our homes, in corporate world, or when we work. So let's help others who want to be the voice. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. I even call it a non-negotiable now. I think that everybody should definitely do it. And again, Iskra has written, yes, having a reason to share your message is very important. Finding a big why to help others to improve their lives, sharing your unique stories of victory and transformation. And it's absolutely about the passion, isn't it? And if you have that, then that would be good advice to give, wouldn't it? To try and for somebody that's trying to overcome that fear, to get that drive behind them to share. Thank you so much for that. And I apologize for putting you in a different part of the schedule. But moving on now, we will see who is next up for us today. And we've just got a couple of speakers that we have left to share with you. We have Steve coming up next, and it's Steve Gallegos, and he's the founder and president Voice of Impact Awards. He's a renowned personal development and reinvention expert who is changing the game when it comes to achieving success. With a diverse background as a US Marine law enforcement officer, singer-songwriter, board-certified civil trial lawyer, internet entrepreneur, and published photographer, Steve draws upon this wealth of real-world experience to inspire and guide his clients and audiences. As America's ambassador on success, Steve has dedicated to empowering individuals in the public eye, such as stage and TV performers, musicians, actors, public figures, and business leaders, to overcome the challenges related to self-identity, communication, and relationships. He is a sought-after speaker and trainer, delivering impactful and insightful lessons to help individuals reach their full potential and contribute to society at a higher level. With a mission to elevate others, Steve is a true visionary, using his unique blend of skills and experience to transform the lives of those he works with and create a better world for us all. In addition to his speaking engagements, Steve's also the co-founder and president of the Voices of Impact Awards, a celebration of the songs and stories that inspire and uplift humanity. You can connect with him on Facebook and on his websites. And again, as I said, we will put that information in the chat to share with all of you so that you know how to connect with our speakers today. Steve, I'd like to welcome you to the stage. Thank you so much, Fathimath. We'll speak to you soon.
Thank you so much, Lisa Marie. I've been sitting here listening to everybody since, for me, it's 8 o'clock this morning here in the United States. And I think I'm probably the only one from the United States, am I? And so yay, me. But yay, you guys too. I want to thank Anshu Tiwari for reaching out and inviting me to participate in this beautiful program. And also you, Lisa Marie, you've been doing an amazing job as a host. And Ursula, oh my gosh, Fatima, Mercy, Iskra, Senada, and I'm excited to hear Michael too. You guys are just also brilliant. And it's like, where have you been all my life? Because, you know, I've learned so much from you this morning. And even though I'm an expert in the communications field and having been a trial lawyer and I'm a professional speaker around the world, it's just fascinating to learn the points of view from other experts in this area. And so I'm very, very grateful personally to each of you for participating and for contributing your time to the world. And it's just fascinating to be connected with all of you guys. As you know, we've been talking about the importance of public speaking skills, and all of you, all of the speakers so far have just given some fabulous information and some very essential and critical information that we need to have. And so I don't want to repeat anything that they've already said. So I'm going to go a little bit different here because we already know that public speaking is relevant in our professional settings and also in our everyday lives, right? In every single thing that we do, it involves communication. Without communication, there's nothing. There's no connection. You might as well just stay at home in a closet and not do anything. Everything else outside of that requires you to communicate. Your body language, your voice, your writing, your texting, your speaking on the phone, it's all communications and it's all essential. What I want to do this morning for all of those of you present here with us today and those of you that'll be listening to this show later on, I'm going to change your life right now. Yeah, that's a pretty bold statement, isn't it? But I'm going to change your life right now because I'm going to take away one of the beliefs, what I believe is a myth that the entire world for many, many years has imposed on us and has made us believe that we are afraid of public speaking. And it just really troubles me that they say that 70% of the world population of adults are afraid of public speaking. That means 7 out of 10 of us that are here on the call today are afraid of public speaking. I think that this is a lie. You are not afraid of public speaking. Again, that's a pretty bold statement because there's a lot of people that say we are. We are afraid of something, and I'll get to that in a minute, but we're not afraid of public speaking. But before I dive into that, let's just look at this whole idea of this fear, right? What supposed fear. Where does it come from? One place and one place only. It comes from our childhood. Somewhere along the way, you can look back and reflect on your childhood and see you were a child, your parents said, shut up, sit down and eat, mind your own business. Children are to be seen and not heard. How many of you heard that when you were growing up? Children are to be seen and not heard. How many of you heard from your parents or otherwise, you're stupid, you don't know what you're talking about, right? I heard that. How about in class? Remember in being in first, second, third grade, and the teacher says, I have a question. And she asks a question, says, who has the answer? And you raise your hand, excited to answer the question. And you give the wrong answer. What happens? Ah, ha, 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 you're so dumb, right? All the other kids laughed, just like Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. All the other kids laughed and poked him fun and called him names. So these experiences from our childhood, they cause us to do one thing and one thing only, and that's boom, shut down. And we make this internal vow to ourselves. And we say, I am never, ever going to raise my hand in class again, right? I'm never going to speak up again. I'm not going to offer the answer, even though I know. I'm just not going to contribute. I'm just going to mind my own business and go along on my merry way. And so this now translates into our adult experience when we go and we apply for a job, right? And how many of you have had this experience? You submit your resume to the company, you go in for an interview, the interviewer is sitting there and says, well, Michael, I have your resume, very impressive. Whoa, you went to this school? Wow, you got Dean's List, honors, outstanding. Oh, you have this experience and you've made this much money for your prior employer? Excellent, excellent. Well, tell me about yourself. And what does Michael do? Michael says, well, I went to school here. I went to work there. I worked there for 10 years. I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. In other words, Michael's repeating the same things that are already in his resume. Why did we do that? Because we don't know how to speak about ourselves. We don't know how to share our stories. We were never taught that. Remember, as kids, we were taught, shut up, sit down, be quiet, just sit there and look pretty. Children are to be seen and not heard. And so as a result, we were never taught how to talk about ourselves. Let me give you another example. Remember your first date? How many of you remember your first date? And you're just sweating inside and your heart is beating really fast because the other person is saying all their life story and they're saying where they traveled and they're saying what their aspirations are and what their experience has been. And then they say, so tell me about you. And what do you say? You say, what do you want to know? Right? Because we were never taught to share our stories with confidence, with authenticity, and in a genuine fashion. And so we're afraid to speak up. All of these experiences from our childhood leading into when we first start dating and all of these things, they're all catching up to us. And we become these big adults, we start running companies, we start doing these things out in the marketplace, and the number one skill that we should have, which is the art of communications and public speaking, because it's essential in everything we do, is the number one skill that we're lacking in, which is why we're having an event like this today. If it wasn't the case, the Global Speaker Summit wouldn't be in existence. They wouldn't find the need to train the world on this skill, right? Why are there so many books on public speaking? Why are there so many programs on public speaking? Why do we have beautiful coaches like Ursula and Fatima and Iskra to train people on public speaking? Because we're not taught. And because there's 8 billion people on the planet now, we need more coaches like Ursula, right? We need even more because every day, more and more people are coming into this world. More and more people are graduating from high school without the ability to speak because all they do is type on the phone all day and they don't know how to communicate. All right. I said a little bit ago, you're not afraid of public speaking. You probably don't believe me right now, but I'm going to share you that it's true. I also said that you're afraid of something and it's not public speaking. What we are afraid of, ladies and gentlemen, is simple. What we are afraid of, are you ready? This is life-changing. We're afraid of making a mistake. Oh my gosh, that's it. I'm not afraid of public speaking. I'm afraid of making a mistake. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever made a mistake before? Raise your hand if you've ever made a mistake before. Raise your hand if you died because you made a mistake. No, you're still here. Are you going to make a mistake tomorrow? Likely. You're probably going to make a mistake this afternoon when you get off this call, somewhere along the way. We're afraid of making a mistake, again, because of our childhood experience. You're not afraid of public speaking. Now, if we're afraid of making a mistake, do you think that we can learn to avoid making a mistake? Of course we can. Let me give you an example. We have arms and we have legs. Just because I have arms and legs, does that mean that I could run a marathon tomorrow? What do you think? Or participate in the Tour de France. I know how to ride a bicycle. I use my arms and legs to ride a bicycle. Can I join the Tour de France tomorrow? Not without training. Remember before you started driving a car? What did you require? Training. Were you afraid of driving a car the first time you got behind the wheel and maybe there's an instructor or your mom and dad or your big brother or sister, maybe even a friend next to you, and they're saying, do this, do that, be careful, look out over there, oh my gosh, you're gonna crash, slow down, put on the brakes, all these things, right? You're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And then you make a mistake because of all the confusion, all the noise and all the commotion going on around you. Once you become trained in driving a car, now you can do it in your sleep. How many of you drive to work and before you know it, you're there and you're, how did I get here? It's all automatic, right? Swimming is another thing. Just because I have arms and legs, do you think I know how to swim? I do now, but I didn't before. I got trained. And so just because we have a mouth, and just because we have a voice, for those of us that do have the ability to produce sounds with our mouths, I know there may be a lot of people listening to this that have an impediment or some sort of physical or disability that doesn't allow you to use your voice. And so I'm recognizing that as well. I'm speaking only right now to the people that have the ability to produce sound with their mouth. We require training because we don't know what to say during the interview. We don't know what to say when we're being asked to speak to our team at work and deliver a presentation on something. We don't know. We know the material, but we have so much material. We need training and coaching and assistance in helping us bring all of this knowledge down to be able to present it in 2 minutes, in 5 minutes, in 10 minutes, or even an hour, right? That takes training. But the beautiful thing, folks, is that you can learn it, and you can learn it from the beautiful people and trainers that we have here, right? I mean, Lisa Maria is a school teacher, for heaven's sakes. She can teach all those kids the power of their words and communications and how to use their voices. And so wouldn't you love to be a student, go back and be a student in her class, because she recognizes the importance of communications. She's probably not one of those teachers that tells her students, shut up and be quiet and don't speak. She probably tells them, sit down, be quiet and speak when you're asked. That's a different story, right? Okay, so are you all with me that we are not afraid of public speaking? Can we, and it may take you some time to reframe this in your own mind because you've been trained, you've heard it so many times from so many people, and you've read so many books, and you've looked at so many YouTube and TikTok videos. How do I eliminate the fear of public speaking? I just told you. You're not afraid of public speaking. You're afraid of making a mistake. And if you're afraid of making a mistake, we can learn to avoid the mistakes. But understand too, that as a speaker, as a communicator, mistakes are what make you human, right? Otherwise you'd be a robot. No one wants to be a robot. No one wants to listen to a robot. When we're having conversations, imagine having a coffee or a glass of wine, having lunch with you guys, and you just speak perfectly in perfect tonality and perfect, cadence and everything. How boring would that be? How boring would that be? We love the pauses. We love Ursula's what she thinks is a speech impediment because it draws you to her. It says, wow, what an interesting voice. Fatima's what she calls a speech impediment. It's beautiful because it engages us, right? And we all sound different. Imagine what the world would be like if we all sang the same tune, if we all sounded, if every singer out there sounded like Andrea Bocelli. Andrea Bocelli is a beautiful singer, right? But if every singer sounded like Andrea Bocelli, how excited would you be, right? It's our differences that make us beautiful. It's our differences that connect us. And our job as communicators, our job as speakers is to present ourselves, present our stories, present our experiences, present our journey in such a way that it captivates and engages the audience. And this is learned. Just like Ursula had to go to acting school, right? To learn how to be on stage and just to make the people go, oh my gosh, she's so amazing, right? Iskra, the same thing. It's all learned. And you can learn it right here through the Global Speakers Summit. Now, why is all this important? Why are all of us giving us our time, giving you our time? Why does the Global Speakers Summit exist? Again, we discussed the importance of communications, but I believe that the reason is that we are all here to serve one another. I believe, my personal opinion, although I think it's proven, that we are all here to serve one another. Lisa Marie chooses to serve as a teacher. Some of you choose to serve as a bus driver, as a chef, as a restaurant owner, as a real estate agent, as a politician, as a pastor in a church, me as a lawyer and former police officer, right? An author. We choose to serve in different ways, but it's all service, right? Why do we own a restaurant? To serve our customers. Why do we become real estate agents? To serve the people that want to buy and sell houses. Why do I become a police officer? To serve my community. Why is Lisa Marie a teacher? To serve her community and the students, right? It's all service. That's our primary purpose. Telling our stories is important because your struggles, your journey, your experiences have value. Value not just to you and your children, but value to your community, value to your neighbors, value to your family, value to your church, value to your workplace. It's how we all learn. It's how we connect, is through our stories. Our stories are what help us understand each other. For example, I could look at Fatima and, I have no way to relate to her because she's from a different country, a different time, a different language, a different upbringing. But once I hear her story of abuse, I can say, you know what? I was abused too because I was as a child. I tried to commit suicide multiple times by the age of 17 because I was told and led to believe that I was worthless, without value, and good for nothing. That story, my experience, matches her experience. Different time, different place, different people, but it's a connective story nonetheless. Now I can say, Fatima, I understand you. I appreciate you. I can honor you. And you know what, Fatima? I love you. I love you because you survived and you're here today. And this is how we all connect and we can build understanding. It's how we build a bridge across the world to each other, right? Racial and ethnic differences aside, it's our communications, it's our stories. And that's why it's important that you're here today. That's why it's important that you're taking good notes from all of the speakers. That's why it's important for you to go back and re-listen to this program. And it's even more important that you reach out to your favorite speaker, to your favorite coach, to all of them. Number one, and say, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing with me. And then choose to work with one of us because that's why we're here. Finally, I want to share with you the importance of sharing our stories is so important to me personally, that me and my company have created the Voices of Impact Awards. It's a global search for people with inspiring stories, which is everyone here has an inspiring story that you've shared, or an original song, because songs are stories too. Because everyday people deserve to be heard, deserve to be recognized, deserve to be seen. You don't have to be famous. You don't have to be a celebrity to have an impact on the world. And I was tired of going on stages and sharing my story and people coming up to me afterwards and saying, Steve, thank you so much for sharing your story. I was so inspired and motivated. I'm going to make these changes in my life. And I said, thank you. But you know what? You have a fabulous story too, I'm pretty sure. You should share it. And over the years of me saying this to people, it dawned on me, Steve, there's no legitimate place for the everyday person to go and share their story. So I created it, right? It's the equivalent, it's taking the best of TEDx, the best of the Grammy Awards, and the best of American Idol, if you guys are familiar with that show on television. And we're bringing everyday people to the stage to share their empowering stories. And in this case, this is our first year. I'm putting up $25,000 of my own money for the first place winner. That could be one of you guys. It's life-changing. So anyway, that's my time. I'm Steve Gallegos. You can find me all over the internet, Stevie G Success. You can connect with me here on the Global Speaker Summit. And once again, it's been my privilege to be with you today. And just reach out, say hi. If you have a question, I'm more than happy to spend some time and help you and guide you in any way I can. Thank you so much.
Amazing, Steve. Thank you. I just think that it's an absolute blessing to be around so many people that have the same vision and the same desire to help, to reach out and help so many. And I would again implore people to reach out to anybody who they have felt inspired by today. Again, reiterating what you just said, because like you say, we're here to serve, and that everybody is here to serve and to help in whatever way they can, no matter how small or big a question. It's important to make it and to reach out. So we have a question for you from Michael. At what moment? Oh, no. At what moment did you first realize your personally that you had the power to transform self-limiting beliefs about yourself and your ability to self-express? And then he's got a second part of the question where he says, was it an epiphany, or did it happen over time as you explored states of consciousness?
First of all, I want to thank Michael Maloney for all of the beautiful questions that you've asked and for engaging with our audience and each of the speakers. I mean, this is incredible, because by you asking a question, there's hundreds more people that probably have a similar want to know. And so the courage to ask the question, I thank you for it, and I appreciate you being here with us. In answer to your question, as I shared a little bit, I grew up basically being invisible because of the way that I was raised, physically, mentally, and emotionally abused by my parents. And it's simply because that's the way that they believed love was expressed, right? And I didn't know until much later that they were beaten as children. And so that's what they learned. Right? You beat your child and then you say, I love you. And that's the way life is. And so I grew up largely invisible and unseen and unheard until I was 17 years old, when I ran away from home to join the Marine Corps. But there was one thing that I could do as a child where everybody stopped and paid attention. And that was when I opened my mouth and sang. I was a singer from a very young age. And even my mom would call me out of my room to sing for the neighbors. She'd invite the neighbors over for tea or whatever. And she said, Mijo, come and, sing for the neighbors. And everybody would applaud. Everybody would say more, 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 more. No matter where I went, everybody would say more, more, more. And so as a child, I learned incorrectly but I learned anyway that singing is how you get love. Singing is how you get respect. Singing is how you get admiration. And so I grew up wanting to be a singer. I was going to be, I had set my dreams, and I worked for many, many years to be the modern day Julio Iglesias. How many of you know the name Julio Iglesias? I was going to be the modern day Julio Iglesias, right? Because he was my hero. And I got into the entertainment industry, and I became an entertainment lawyer in Los Angeles, California, primarily so that I could open the doors to pursue my singing career. And it was once I got inside the inside of the record labels, the inside of Hollywood, the inside of the entertainment industry, I saw how negative it was. I saw how brutal it was. I saw how much advantage they take of these singers and actors and, you know, theater performers and those kinds of things. And so I had to come to terms with my desire to be on stage. I didn't know what I was looking for. I knew what I wanted. I wanted the love, respect, and admiration from the crowd, from the audience. And it wasn't until my clients, some of my clients had some very, very bad experiences in Hollywood that I decided to walk away from the entertainment industry altogether. But it was difficult for me, and I had to really go deep inside and find out, why do I want to be in this industry so much? Why do I want to be on that stage? And I realized what I was looking for was love, respect, and admiration. I was like a Pavlov dog. Every time you ring the bell, you salivate because you're going to get fed. Every time I had the opportunity to sing, I salivated because I was going to get love. And once I realized that the love that I got from the audience was not genuine, was not real, was not authentic, I learned that I can't receive love if I don't have love to give first. In other words, if I don't love me first, I can't expect love from anybody else, because then I'm always looking for love, right? If I'm in relationship with you and I'm needy, I need love. And the day that you tell me, the day that you forget my birthday or our anniversary, or you're too tired or too whatever, all of a sudden I feel unloved and I feel unwanted, and we need to get a divorce and we need to break up and all these things because of need, right? But if I can love myself first, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. And that's how I came to this awareness. That's how I came to this conclusion. And then number two is I realized that in all of my prior careers as a Marine, as a singer-songwriter, as a lawyer, communications was the thing that made the difference between me and somebody else. How I spoke, how I delivered my message, how I shared my story is what distinguished me from all of the other lawyers from much better schools, much better education, much bigger law firms than I was working at. And so that's when I realized that communications is the number one thing. Your story is the number one thing that will distinguish you from your competition. Your story is the number one thing that will draw you to another person. And so I became passionate about the art of communications. And so it took a long way, it took a long time, Michael, to, you know, in long answer to your question, but it took a while for me to realize the effectiveness and the power of communications. And that's why I've become passionate about it, because I think everybody needs to learn this.
Brilliant. I don't even want to say another word after that. That's absolutely brilliant. And we've got some great comments in the messages as well, people agreeing with yourself. I like this little I can't remember the word you used for it. Oh, it's an acronym. She says fly, and it's Senada. She said fly, first love yourself. I like that. When I've written that down, I think that's a nice thing to remember. And also we've got some comments there. We've got a lovely quote there. I'm not sure who put it in, actually. Let me see. I think it was Michael again. He who sings scares away his woes. And it's by Miguel de Cervantes. Yeah, you've heard of him. I actually didn't know.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Who that was. Yeah, and everyone's just agreeing with you that it's all about self-love and self-care first. I think it's genius that you have just pointed out that fact that it's not the fear of public speaking, it's the fear of
making a mistake
or being a failure in some way and being judged. It's absolutely the number one thing, isn't it? Brilliant. Yep. Steve, thank you so much. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people that want to be in touch with you. So yeah, brilliant. And we're going to move now to our final speaker of today. And we're going to hear from, here we go. Our last speaker is indeed Michael Baker, and he's a life coach and author. And he's the author of the book, It's Within You. So Michael has overcome many challenges in life. He's gone from a small town kid growing up in a dysfunctional home, being a drug and alcohol addict, as well as a womanizer most of his life, and being told he wasn't good enough and wouldn't amount to anything, to becoming someone who's traveled the country, publishing a book, been ordained as a pastor, and became a life coach. He took public speaking in college and excelled at it. He has also been part of a project, Hope with Bishop Hubbard, years ago, which involved traveling around schools, jails, institutions to discuss addictions, substance use and abuse, and the effects it has on individuals and their families. We are proud to welcome to the GST stage, Michael. I saw that, Fathimath. I saw the jazz hands. Michael, can you unmute, or shall I do it for you? Because you're still on mute.
Okay, I got it. Yes, thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Today. Yes, a lot of great speakers today. A lot of reinforcement of beliefs that I've already had, over the years and developed. For me, it's all about, authenticity, being true to yourself, and that's where it all stems from, knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what your beliefs are, and taking responsibility for yourself, for your life, and the importance of public speaking. If I can do it, anybody else can do it. The same within addictions and everything else like that. There's many things we can overcome, but we have to be willing to face our fears, to overcome them. And listening to people's stories and everything, it helps us. Through repetition comes insight and awareness, and you're not going to change what you're in denial of or not aware of. Awareness is key. You got to be aware of yourself and what's going on around you and the environment you place yourself in. As somebody was saying earlier, look at the 5 people closest to you. And I tell everybody that I work with, seek to be in association with those that are doing as you wish to do. People you see as being the best in the field, to learn all you can from them, and open up, the dialogue, reach out to people. Don't be afraid, as long as you're living in that fear, you got to change the fear to excitement. You get that nervousness and everything. You're going to do something because you're looking at it, the outcome from a negative perspective. You're looking at your fears. Be excited. Well, what's the possibility behind this? What can come of this? Not so much what's gonna. You got to be a creator of your environment, not a product of it. And right now, there's a lot of people in the world right now that. I've done it for myself for a lot of years, many of my years, just going on, reacting to everything that's going on around me, being a product of my environment, and not standing up for myself and doing the things that I wanted to do, just doing, people place labels on you and everything, you're this, you're that, and everything else. And you come to do the things that you think other people expect you to do, in order to fit in with them. It's not about fitting in with everybody. It's about standing out today, being true to yourself. You're the only one you'll ever be, and you're here for a purpose and a mission in life, And our last speaker, he was talking about that fear, fear of being a mistake and everything. It's not a fear of making a mistake. It's a fear of being known for who you really are. You know, I had that fear for a lot of years. You know, I was an inferior maniac. You know, I was an egomaniac with an inferiority complex. You know, I felt I always had to prove myself, and I did through the use of drugs and alcohol and women and everything in order to fit in with the people that I surrounded myself with. You know, and I no longer surround myself with those people today. You know, and that has changed my life. You know, one bad apple can spoil the whole bunch. You know, it's bad character corrupts good morals. You know, it's after studying, you know, the self-help field and people that are in the industry for the last 30 something years, you know, it all comes back to applying the principles of the Bible in your daily life. You know, open, honest communication, connecting with one another, not living in isolation, getting out of that fear and that depression and that desperation. You know, Lord came here, you know, so we could have life and experience it abundantly. You know, everything's here for us. You know, we've been given dominion over the earth. It's up to us to take advantage of that, you know, and to take responsibility for it. You know, taking responsibility leads to maturity. You know, we run away from responsibility all the time. You know, we want to take on responsibility for the world, but not for ourselves, for our own actions. You know, and that's where the discernment comes in. You know, we got to align ourselves, our thoughts, deeds, and actions. You know, it's what we do every day that makes the difference. It's not what you do once, it's what you do every day that's going to make the difference. You know, I mean, you know, a sign of a messy bed is a sign of a messy head. You know, you got to start in the morning. First thing you do in the morning determines the rest of your day. You know, whether you wake up in the morning, you say your prayers, you do your meditation, or you make your bed, you do something. You got to do something every day, and making a commitment to something. When you get the idea in your mind, you know, you got to make the commitment before talking yourself out of it. I find, you know, the hardest thing for me to do is the right thing to do. You know, I got to talk myself into doing what's right and talk myself out of doing the things that I know I shouldn't be doing. You know, because you have that you get into that stage of procrastination. You know, you start procrastinating on things, and then you allow other things to come in and distract you, so you don't get done the things you need to do for yourself. And then it leads back to that, well, I'll never be able to do this, I'll never be able to do that, you know, and the self-doubt and the fears and everything, that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, as a man thinketh, so he becomes. You know, and that's so true. You know, and I tell everybody, you know, what you dwell upon, you create the environment for. I found that so true in my life. You know, the things that I feared the most, I dwelled upon the most, and I created the environment for them until it actually happened. You know, it's our emotions that dictate our actions. You know, we got to control our thoughts. You know, it all starts with our thoughts, our self-discipline, you know, our belief in ourselves, and being able to examine our lives and seeing what caused these things. Why do I feel this way? You know, you got to know your why you feel this way. For everything that affects you, there's a cause for it, you know. And you see a lot of people, they react and they respond and everything else like that, because they're repressed emotions that haven't been dealt with, they haven't been expressed. You know, they keep pushing everything in, and then you wonder why you say something, just the slightest thing you can say to somebody, and they just explode on you. It's like, wait a minute, where'd that come from? You know, but it's the unexpressed emotions that's been repressed, that's been kept pushed back. You know, but you got to be authentic with yourself, be true to yourself, and not be afraid to let yourself be known. You know, I hid myself for a lot of years in false pretenses and ulterior motives. You got to let go of that. You know, you got to be true to you. You know, there's only one of you. You're the only one you'll ever be. And by sharing your story, that you're setting the path for the next person behind you. You know, it's up to us all to set the example and be the inspiration for the future generation. You know, we all have a story. You know, your story is the next person's survival guide. When they're going through divorce, they're going through depression. You know, I had to, in the past several years, I've had to Baker several people for being suicidal and things like that. People I've worked with, people in my family, people that are in my life, you know. And then I talked to my kids, you know, I had to have one of my kids Baker acted, you know, and then I talked to their friends. And all these kids are 13, 14, 15 years old. And all of them have been Baker acted once or twice because they've been suicidal and everything else like that, because they're not being heard. They're not being seen. They're not being validated. You know, people got to know that they matter, you know. If you treat people like they don't matter, they're going to think they don't matter, but they do, you know. And you have to let that be. You gotta validate. You gotta people, you know, let them know that they matter. You know, it's not just what I do for myself, it's what I can do for somebody else. You know, and it's not always the easiest thing to do. You know, because we all have our own needs. You know, and we're worried about getting our own needs met and everything in situations, but sometimes we have to step back. We got to put the ego to the side, you know. The ego eases God out, you know. It's not me. It's the power within me, you know. You know, God is there. He's real. You know, the Spirit of the Lord is within you, but you have to find it within yourself, you know. Examine yourself. You know, evaluate everything. Prioritize your priorities. You got to stand for something. Those that don't stand for anything will fall for anything, you know, and you can't compromise yourself for others. You get iron sharpens iron, you know. It's up to us to hold each other accountable. If you don't hold them accountable, they're not going to become responsible, you know. From the time they grew up, teach them while they're young, they won't depart from when they're old, you know. And it's true, you know. You got to teach when they're old. The fear of the Lord is you know, the first sign of wisdom. You know, you got to have that wisdom. That fear is there. You know, you get burnt. The kid touches that hot stove. You know, oh, that hurt. You know, I'm not going to do that again. You know, and we reap as we sow. You know, and that's the Lord's correction. You know, we got to, but we can't avoid it. You know, and we can't enable others' behaviors. You know, I went on with drugs and alcohol and everything and I dealt with it longer than I had to, because I had parents that wanted to protect me, you know, but they were protecting me from the consequences of my own behaviors, you know, and that enabled me to continue doing what I was doing that caused all the problems to begin with, you know. But we can't continue to do that. Otherwise, the cycle repeats itself. You know, it does. Boom. Every so often, this happens. Every so often, you know, why am I changing relationships every 4 or 5, 6 years? Why does this keep happening to me over and over again? Well, if you keep doing the same things, you're going to keep getting the same results. You got to change. You got to be adaptable. You got to be flexible. You got to look at yourself. You got to take responsibility for yourself. You know, it's your life, your story. You're the author of it. Be the authority over it. You know, trust in the Lord. You know, He's given you that power. You know, just as Christ said when He departed earth for the last time after He resurrected Himself from the grave, you know, He told all His disciples, everything I have done, you shall do, and even greater than these you shall do. You have the power within you. You know, what you dwell upon, you create the environment for. You know, where the focus goes, the energy flows. You know, the same as Tony Robbins and Les Brown, everybody says there's greatness within you. You know, you have the power. It's within you. That's what I tell you. It's within you. That's what the book's all about. Faith, belief in yourself. I wrote the first copy of this book, you know, It's Within You. I wrote the first copy of it. The book, the Lord was with me the whole entire time, the first year and a half. You know, He was directing every word that I wrote into that book. And after a year and a half of writing that book, the manuscript was ready. It was ready to go to the publishers and everything else like that. My house burnt down. Boom, done, gone. Everything I'd written. I spent almost 2 years writing this and putting it all together and everything. But it had already had a date for it to be published and everything else like that. And it was like the Lord had forsaken me at that point. You know, He's like, boom, this is it, Mike. Boom, you're on your own, you know. And you know what I mean? He's like, listen, Mike, you know, this is it, you're on your own. He said, how can you say that you believe in me if you don't believe in you? You have to believe in yourself. You know, the power is within you. You have to believe in you. Now, nobody's going to do it for you. You have to do it. By your faith, all things are made possible to you. But faith without works is dead. If you want it, you got to put the effort into it, you know, and that's what it's all about, you know, is defining yourself, having a definite purpose in life. You got to have definiteness of purpose, you know, and you got to make the commitment to it before you talk yourself out of it, you know. Follow through on what you intend to do. Intentions, actions. You got to take action on your intentions, you know. A dream is just a dream without a plan to achieve it.
Exactly. A dream is just a dream unless you have a plan. It's all about action, isn't it? 100%. Do you know what I love about you coming up and speaking here and leaving us with this message? What you said really, really, I think resonates with the whole of the summit. You said one little line within there that really impacted me. Your story is someone else's survival guide. Now, if I can ever think of a reason why public speaking is a non-negotiable in my mind, and why we have a responsibility to share what we know, it's in you saying that comment, that when you can share your story and your wisdom and your knowledge for someone else, it could end up being their survival guide or their hope in a darkest moment, or it can be their solution to a problem that they've held for such a long time. Thank you so much for all of that sharing, Michael. I took so many other big things from what you said about the authenticity of being you and not being frightened to let people see you for who you are, mistakes and all. One thing, as a primary school teacher of little kids, it's always been mistakes are a great learning curve. And as adults, I think sometimes we even forget that. We teach it to our kids, but do we actually live and breathe that for ourselves? Because failures can sometimes be the biggest learning curves that we ever have in our lifetime, and can even turn around to become blessings in disguise. And I think I just want to say thank you to all of you for sharing your story today, because I think we've all got a story which can inspire others to share their voice and to find their voice. And for whatever reason and however they share it, with small groups or large, just share it and not be worried about the judgment or the fear or silly things like a little green light at the top of your computer, as I seem to be so fixated on. You know, it affects everyone differently, and we just need to accept that this is human. And I love that you know, Steve, just before you as well, Michael, you know, put us all straight about the fear of public speaking, and it's actually a fear of people letting people see the real us and letting them see that we are we make mistakes and we're imperfect, which is what we should be. So thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom with us just then. That was amazing. I like building a bridge as well, you know, that building a bridge through story, and you know, where the attention goes, energy flows, those brilliant quotes that we get from the likes of Tony Robbins, and having someone to keep you accountable is good as well, isn't it? So thank you very much for everybody. I've put out there to see if there's any more questions. At the moment, we've got a question for you, Michael. What was your big breakthrough goal or dream for what you'd like to do for others? What would you say to someone stuck in a cycle of addiction and wanted to start to have a positive impact?
It all begins with admitting the problem. You know, you got to admit that you have a problem and face it, you know, not be afraid of it. You know, in the program, you know, you come to the program, you admit you got a problem and everything else like that, and then you got to come to believe in something outside of yourself, you know, a greater power, you know, that's going to restore you to sanity, you know. And that's where it comes in, is seeking the guidance. You know, you got to know that you need help. You know, nobody gets through this world on their own, you know. And I tell people, you know, let those without sin cast the first stone. You know, we can't judge others to justify our own behaviors, which so many of us do. You know, we're always judging everybody else to justify our own behaviors and rationalizing and justifying everything that we do. And we got to stop. You know, you got to put a stop to it and hold yourself accountable and taking responsibility, you know, and saying, yes, I have a problem. I can't do it on my own. I need help. And seeking the guidance of people that have been there and been through it, you know. Mentorship and sponsorship is so important, you know, to share with others your own experience, strength, and hope. Because everyone can help someone. Nobody's as smart as everyone. You know, you can't take nothing with you when you leave this life. You know, we all come in naked, and it's what we do while we're here that matters. You know, we gotta question ourselves. You know, is this the way I want to live my life? You know, but it all starts with a vision. You got to create a vision for yourself, for your future. But before you can create the vision for your future, you got to forgive yourself of your past. Everyone makes mistakes. You're not a mistake. If you made a mistake, it doesn't make you a mistake. You know, you got to get rid of that victim mentality. You know, your victory's in the Lord. You know, you can't live that victim mentality and allow everything to happen to you. You got to make things happen for you. It's the way we see things, our perceptions and our perspectives. You know, Gary Vee, I think, is one of the greatest people when it comes to keeping things in perspective. You know, some of the things he says, you know, people might not like everything he has to say, but it keeps it in perspective. You know, he had one girl on there talking about, you know, somebody made a negative comment on one of her posts or anything else like that, and he's like, well, if somebody's dying in your family or something like that, what difference is what this person has to say they're going to make? It doesn't. You know, it's how you see yourself as being. Everything starts with a vision, and it starts with the vision of how you see yourself as being and being capable of. You got to change your self-image. It all starts and ends with you. You know, and when you realize that, you're better off. You stop seeking outside validation and love from everybody else. It's got to come from within you. You know, you're here to love and be loved, not to be loved by others in order to love yourself. You know, the Lord is. You have the love within you. You know, you got to have it for yourself. Love others as you love yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. Not love yourself as your neighbor loves you. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. You have to love yourself first. Everything starts from within.
Yeah, and words of wisdom, absolutely there. I really loved what you said, and I hope that it really resonated with some people the way it did with me, because that really is true words of wisdom, where you talk about yourself and just being you, and knowing that it's okay, and being you, whatever you've done, whatever you do, whatever happens when you go live or when you speak publicly, or whatever you've done in your life, it doesn't define you. And I think we should leave that thought with everybody. It's really important to not be your mistakes and not be concerned with that. Just be you. And there will be people out there that need you. They need you to tell them your message. They could hear that message from anyone else, but it's you that's going to resonate with them. And I think we need to all accept our uniqueness and know that there's somebody out there who wants to hear from us. So thank you so much, Michael. I don't think we have any final questions for everybody at the end here. I wanted to open I know we've run over a little bit of time. I just wanted to give the speakers today the opportunity, if they wanted to ask any questions that they haven't asked already, to be able to unmute and just ask those questions. Thank you, Michael, for sharing so many questions with us. Michael Maloney's been with us as well. He shared lots of questions today. We're very grateful, very insightful questions, and for those that have shared them on Facebook as well. I feel truly blessed to have been here today as the host of this summit. This is our 26th summit. I have hosted a great many of them. But I have to say that this one will stick in my mind, because this is a passion of mine. I feel myself getting emotional. And I think we're all here as driven individuals to make sure that our passion becomes important to other people as well, and that they understand through us that they can do it too. That's for that reason, I feel extremely blessed for today and for all of you being here. And I hope that there's some future collaborations between us as entrepreneurs and thought leaders that can come out of this wonderful meeting of minds. But please, I'd like to say to everyone before we leave, do check out Global Speakers Community Group, because this could be the place that you can find your voice, like I did, in amongst all that fear of showing myself and of making mistakes, which now I embrace. As you've seen, this has been less than perfect, but practice makes perfect. And we've all said about the importance of practice and training and learning and improving, and just do it. Imperfect action, my friends. So I'll just leave you with that today and say thank you to everybody. And we will hope to see you next month on our 27th Global Live Speakers Summit. Thank you for joining us. Please do put hashtag replay in the box if you are watching the replay, and do please tell us your takeaways, because I'm sure you've got quite a few from today. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.